TV and an NFL Network. I mean, there's plenty of shows that have all those recaps, and all of them are really, really good. I mean, again, take your sport. Yeah, you can. I mean, they have they got great personalities on all those shows.
Jake Peavy's so good.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. I mean, we've talked a lot about some of these crews and teams, and
Sean
these
Casey's
pre-games,
really good.
post-games. They're really, really
Love
good.
Poppy.
I
like A-Rod. I know that.
Wow,
Not
controversial.
Yeah.
But
I don't think you do. It stuns you, didn't it?
I mean, a little bit, but I don't have any problem with it. But
I like Derek Jeter.
Again, kind of surprised on that one. I think I might like A-Rod more than I like
Love
Jeter.
Poppy.
I don't like either of them too much. No, I do love Poppy as well. I didn't know. I guess this was last week, maybe during the day. We had a day game, or maybe early, like Monday this week.
Running together.
They're all running together. But I did not know that Adam Wainwright joined the booth for an Astros game either earlier this week or late last week.
And so good.
It was really, really good.
And it's going to be network titan.
Mm-hmm.
John Smoltz is so good.
Yeah.
Through the years, I thought John Smoltz and Tim McCarver was great with Joe Buck. But John Smoltz may have been his best analyst. And I love Tim McCarver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. There's a lot.
And I miss Tim McCarver.
Yeah, absolutely. But especially in baseball, I think the personalities, especially some of these newer personalities we're seeing, the guys that have just retired in the last 10 or so years and making that transition to the booth, they're really, really good.
The first analyst superstar in American broadcasting was Dizzy Dean.
Really?
The lovable Gas House Gang gadabout, and he cracked a off-color joke that got him fired.
Right.
And I don't think it would get you fired now. Might get you suspended. But he was himself. Mm-hmm. He was kind of Madden before Madden. And through the years, baseball has really provided a lot of very colorful figures in the announce booth. Joe Garagiola was part of the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. He was great and best friends with Yogi Berra. Tony Kubek was so good through the years, and Jim Palmer was good through the years. There's been a lot of really great baseball analysts, but we're in vintage time now. I bet you didn't think, Bryant, there's no way today Brett can go on a super snooty, haughty Cardinal screed over the Arizona Diamondbacks winning. I bet you don't think I can pull that off, do you?
You know, when I was getting ready for work this morning, that was not on my pre-work bingo card. No.
You didn't do that one? What the Diamondbacks did, congratulations. They've earned it. The sweep really handled what the Dodgers only scored 2 in each game, right?
Right.
Really handled the Dodgers. It wasn't just the Dodgers pitching. It was also the Dodgers hitting. It was really everything got the Dodgers. But it infuriates me that an 84-team, something called the Arizona Diamondbacks, can squeeze into the playoffs, and the Cardinals were out of it on May 1st. You can't get one of those 6 spots.
I mean, that's a good point, Brett.
That's not unfair either.
I don't think it is at all. I mean, this is a young team. Now, again, like you said, a lot of credit to the Diamondbacks. I think a really talented young team. But like you said, with what the talent that the Cardinals should be getting year in and year out to that franchise,
you can't punch one of those tickets.
Yeah, you should be in there every
And it
single year.
also shows that if you just get in, you've got a shot, because all these teams that are at 100 wins and they've been on cruise since 10th of September, they lost their edge.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and that's a big part of it. I mean, I've been talking a lot about that because you cannot watch these games and not look at it as in the 2 of the teams that got a break have been eliminated, the Dodgers and the Orioles. Another team that had a break is on the brink of elimination tonight on the road in Philadelphia, and those are the 3 teams with the most wins this season. And so there's something to that. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's something to that.
Should you adjust the playoffs? Should a big overreaction
take
place?
I would say yes, but I
I'm open to it.
I'm open
you
to
gotta
it.
Reward somebody who won 101 games.
I'm certainly open to it. I'm just not smart enough to be able to figure out how
Let
you
somebody
would.
else do it. We'll be the idea guy.
Right, because you want to be able to reward them after a 162 game season with some sort of little break.
But the very reward is what hurts them.
Exactly. And so maybe shorten it down a little bit. I'm not smart enough to know how you go about that.
And this never happens. How about eliminating some of the team?
Well, that would
teams?
be
maybe not
something.
All those teams get in.
Yeah, but like you said,
not happening.
That's not happening. But we'll talk some more baseball a little bit later in this hour. Like I said, we got only one game tonight between Atlanta and Philadelphia, the only divisional series that is still going on, and a chance for Philadelphia to end that one tonight on TBS. Brett, how much college football were you able to watch last night?
Some to more than Tuesday.
What'd you think of Florida International's Miami Vice uniforms?
I didn't see any of that one.
Oh, Brett!
I didn't see any of that one.
They rocked black jerseys that had like pink and like blue and like a Miami Vice. Oh man, I can't remember. It was on when I got home last night, and I just left it on.
On ESPN?
It was I think it was on one of the ESPN channels. Okay. Maybe I was it on ESPN? Johnny's saying it's hello, Johnny. I forgot to say you're here.
Sorry, Johnny.
Johnny said that it was on ESPN. I'm trying to see if I can pull up a picture so I can show you.
Oh, I'm seeing it now.
Are you seeing it?
Yeah. No, I watched some of New Mexico State and Sam Houston.
Yeah.
Sam Houston remains the only team in FBS winless.
My father had a fit with the Miami Vice jerseys, and I was like, you watched Miami Vice. Like, that was a show you watched growing up. What do you mean you have an issue with it?
We did watch it. That was a Friday night staple.
Yeah, so I've heard. I hear all about that and Magnum P.I. and Hawaii Five-0. I hear about all those shows. But he was like, I don't like the palm trees on the side.
Hawaii 5-0 in the day.
Right, yeah. Well,
with Jack Lord. Yeah.
I just hear all the shows from before my time. They all run together for me. I couldn't tell you when any of them come out. But
we got college football tonight.
We got some good games tonight.
I think two really good ones. And, I'm going to be listening to the NFL game here on Sports 56 and 98.5 since I'm not on the on the big streaming. But I will watch West Virginia at Houston. That's on FS1. And then a real good one in the AAC, a pretty good one in the AAC, SMU. A big favorite at East Carolina. Boy, I miss bad on East Carolina. Remember how in love I was with them preseason? I had East Carolina going 10-2. What was I thinking?
Wow. I mean, that's a good question. Because they have not shown that at all. Only 1-4 this year.
12-point dog at home at Dowdy Ficklen.
Yeah, that's
one of the tougher places in the AAC to play.
You're absolutely right. I'm interested about this first one on FS1 tonight, West Virginia and Houston, because West Virginia, coming into the year at Big 12 Media Days, West Virginia was picked dead last in the conference.
Neil Brown was in trouble.
And Neil Brown, I heard multiple people, national, locally in West Virginia, saying this is probably it for Neil Brown. And now 4-1 on the year, 2-0 in the Big 12. They're coming off an off week against Houston this week down in Texas. Houston 2-3, 0-2 in Big 12, trying to kind of get their footing in their new conference. I think this could be a great game tonight.
Could be a great game tonight. And this, I think this game probably secures, maybe not new fat deal, but tack on a year or something. And this is a perfect example that I don't even know who the AD is at West Virginia, but he would be well within his right to say, good job. We're not redoing any contract right now. You've got a job next year.
Yes.
You've got a contract for next year where you're going to be paid very well here, but there's no need to nobody is trying to hire Neil Brown.
No.
Why negotiate against yourself? We just at the end of the year, we might tack on a year and some coaching pool money for assistants, but you really just went out and did your job.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and so that's probably, hopefully, what we'll see after this year. And also, I mean, he can kind of.
Oh, AD's Ren Baker.
Ren Baker, yeah. So kind of can look around and say, "Told you so." I mean,
Ren doesn't need me giving him any advice.
No. I think he knows what he's doing. But I've been impressed. I watched. I think the only West Virginia game I've watched this year was when they played Texas Tech a couple weeks ago.
Penn State opening weekend.
Penn State opening weekend. I did watch a ton of that game. But I watched a lot of that Texas Tech game, and that was a game where Texas Tech starting quarterback, I think, broke his leg in that game. It was, a really bad injury. But even before that, before he went out with injury, West Virginia was really controlling that game, and so I've been really impressed with them. That game starts at 6 o'clock tonight, so for Houston, an opportunity to get their first win in the Big 12 for West Virginia to continue rolling when nobody thought they would be having a year like this.
And a good old rival matchup in the NFL.
Sure, yeah, a good one tonight. Broncos and Chiefs. We'll see if the Broncos can show anything tonight. I mean, the Chiefs, we talked yesterday about some of these lines in the NFL. I think I counted them again this morning. I think 6 lines from now until Sunday that are 7 points or greater. So, I mean, this is a big number tonight for the Chiefs. Very rare. But for the Chiefs, I mean, we know how good they are. We know how much the Broncos have struggled. And, I mean, I'm not going to play that spread tonight, but I mean, it'd be hard to bet against
healthy?
him. He'll be playing.
In the lineup?
I don't know how healthy.
And
go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't care.
Taylor Swift,
hell yeah,
likely in attendance tonight. Oh man, how about that? When I told me and Zach Boyd were talking about this earlier on John's show. Of course she's going to be at this one. She's about to release a documentary on Amazon Prime.
No, she's about to drop a documentary.
Very good, Brett. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's going to drop a documentary on Amazon Prime. I believe it's coming out on Amazon Prime. So why would she not be there for the Prime? Exactly. Why would she not be there for the Prime game? I mean, it's like everyone's been talking about all of this is for publicity and all of that. Well, this is literally Prime publicity.
You mean people in the limelight would do stuff for clicks and publicity? And
yeah. Who would have thought that
what's next?
That a relationship would not be because of love.
What's next? Me going in the ring tomorrow night at wrestling night at the Tiger game?
I'm ready for it. You've said you're going to do it. I'm waiting to see it.
When is it not wrestling night?
Seems
everywhere I go is wrestling night.
It seems like we have a lot of wrestling nights all for every sport, but it seems like the games you go to are always wrestling night.
I mean, and usually right by the ring at FedEx Forum, they usually set the ring up right there, where we all sit. Where you sit as well, and at AutoZone Park. And tomorrow night before the big one against Tulane, we're going to break out the brass knucks and the coal miner's glove. And,
we are.
And really get after it in the square circle.
We sure are, and it's going to be a fun one.
Very close in proximity to the roundhouse that used to have a square circle in it.
That's right. Well, you should put it in there and have everybody go in there before the game. How about that?
That's the idea of the year,
how about that? I don't know what the inside looks like right now, but
just
clean it up in there. Yeah.
And you have to buy a ticket to the Tiger game to go to the wrestling.
I love it. That's a great idea.
Brian, that's the idea of the year.
What can I say? They can use it. I won't even charge you for it.
I'd be right there ringside.
Yes, you would. Then you would certainly be ringside for that.
Where I used to sit quite often at the wrestling.
That's right. Well, let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30. Bill Bender from the Sporting News. Thank you. I mean, and if anybody's listening from the university, it's free. I mean, you can use it and you can claim it. You don't even have to give me credit. But we're going to talk college football with Bill Bender in the next segment. A lot to get to with him as we got to look back to what happened in college football last weekend and also some of these big games in a couple of days kicking off on Saturday. At 3:45, we'll talk a little baseball. Only one game tonight in the MLB postseason, but we've got to talk about what happened in those 3 games yesterday. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show will join us to talk NBA as we're getting closer and closer to the regular season. 4:30, we'll take a look at Thursday Night Football tonight. Some other news and notes in the NFL. 4:45, big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston back in his regular spot on a Thursday, joining us to talk Tigers. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell. Crunch time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The world's biggest spa sale. It's back and bigger than ever. 50 different models to choose from, 5 different manufacturers, up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. Free upgrades on all in-stock spas in the 24-month. Same-ass cash is still available, but only at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
Johnny Hill with us, Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy with you, and we're Sports Time. We're with you until 6 o'clock, and you can be a part of this show. We want you to be at 901-360-8255. As always, in our Family Leisure Studios, and as always, this first hour brought to you every day exclusively by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options with every passing day. More and more 24s also at Lexus of Memphis. Call them at 901-334-9673 and drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, Brett, we talked a little bit about Kansas and what came down yesterday in terms of really nothing, but in terms of penalties and violations.
A lot of posturing.
A lot of posturing. But after leaving here last night, I was kind of listening to ESPN, CBS Sports, reading on what was being reported and hearing some of the national media talk about this, and I had a slight problem with the way they were going about it, because I think you can say a lot of things about this. I think you can take a positive view of it. I think you can also take a negative view of it, no matter how you feel about Kansas and what they've gotten in this. But one thing that I've heard a lot of people do in the national media. Now, I haven't heard anybody here locally. We talked about it a little bit today, but the news came down yesterday afternoon before we started. We touched on it a little bit, but didn't talk much about it. And I didn't get to hear what the morning said about it this morning, what Dave said about it, or really what anybody else has said about it. So, but nationally, I've heard a lot of people try to compare this to what happened to Oklahoma State a couple of years ago. And if you remember, that was Cade Cunningham's only season at Oklahoma State. They were given a postseason ban for something that had happened before anybody on staff was there, before any of the players were on that roster, and they got a postseason ban. And now Kansas comes out and they don't receive a postseason ban for things that were worse than what Oklahoma State did. The difference in those are Oklahoma State's penalty came down from the NCAA. This penalty came down from the IARP, the same group that ruled on the Memphis issue and also ruled on LSU, Arizona, and Louisville. And LSU, Arizona, and Louisville, none of them got a postseason ban for similar things that happened at Kansas. So I don't think anybody should have gone into that decision yesterday thinking that that Kansas would get a postseason ban. Now, I have heard some people say that Bill Self has gotten nothing from this. Now, they did self-impose penalties for him. He got a 4-game suspension last year. They don't have as many scholarships, official visits, all that sort of stuff. But I almost commend Kansas, Brett, for keeping Bill Self around. You have a Hall of Fame coach, a coach that since that has happened has won a national championship for him. You have given him a lifetime deal. And Brett, if we look back to all of this that happened, yes, when the FBI came down and said, no, this is bad, you should not be doing this, we have all this evidence, it was illegal. Today, what they were doing is very much
standard
legal now. It is standard. And so I commend Kansas for almost playing the long game, keeping Bill Self around, and now everything he's doing, I'm hoping he's still doing today to bring talented players to Kansas. So I think yesterday, the way we talked about it is the way I feel about it. It's just, okay, cool, whatever, move on, and I think that's how it should be talked about, because I really don't think it was a big deal, and I don't think really anybody should have assumed that it was going to be a big deal yesterday.
Well said and well explained, and I'm saying the rarest of sports talk radio note for you. The commendation of Kansas.
Well, I'm hoping my mother and my father aren't listening. They'll be very unhappy with me. But, I got to give credit where credit's deserved.
There had been many KU defenders out there since that night. My top story, how clutch are the Houston Astros and Dusty Baker? You can talk all you want about the cheating scandal around the Astros. I think plenty's been discussed. Dusty Baker didn't have one thing to do with that. Very few of the parties remain with Houston. 7 straight ALCS appearances. You don't do that just by cutting corners. At some point, we must move on, and at some point, people need to realize this. Hate to be the spoiler alert person, but I will. About everybody out there was doing it in baseball, and the Astros got caught. Yeah. Just like every other corner cutting around sports, everybody usually is doing it. I know it's easy and trite to say everybody's doing it, doesn't make it right, but they got caught, and now it is setting up for one of the big-time managing matchups in the ALCS. Those two towns, those two franchises don't like each other, no love lost, but these two managers, I think they do. But it's going to be Bruce Bochy and all of his wins and his big old noggin and that big old hat against Dusty Baker trying to do it again. I'm ready for the ALCS. Rare that I'm looking more forward to an ALCS than an NLCS, but I am in this one.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, I'm going to stick where you are with baseball, and I got to read you my favorite tweet of the day that I've seen. It was sent to me by a friend, and it is Magic Johnson's Twitter. Here's his tweet from this morning. We're all disappointed that our Dodgers didn't hit or pitch well. That's why we lost the series to the Diamondbacks. Well said, Magic. I mean, well said. I could not have said it any better, really.
Now he's back to running Washington.
He sure is, yeah. So he doesn't have to worry about the Dodgers anymore. But with this Dodgers team, obviously a disappointing end to the season after winning 100 games, and a lot of people thinking that this team could make a real push. Now, you can talk about how many games they're playing and not playing in the postseason with this break. I think that is a good argument to make. But also, look at this pitching rotation, the starting rotation for the Dodgers. I do not think Lance Lynn and Bobby Miller would have been thrown out in the starting rotation if they had everybody healthy. You look at their injuries. Walker Buehler on the IL 60. Tony Gonsolin on the IL 60. We remember Julio Urias was dismissed from the team for domestic violence. Very, despicable for him. But coming into the season, nobody thought that you were going to be starting your first postseason series. Clayton Kershaw, Bobby Miller, Lance Lynn, that's what lost it for him. That starting pitching rotation, they just could not do anything.
That's how you get swept.
Yeah,
and they did. My not top story, 4 top 25 college football matchups this weekend. It'll start sorting things out in national college football scene and locally, and it sure will in the PAC. Number 7, Washington hosts number 9, Oregon. Michael Penix versus Bo Nix. They'll start sorting out Heisman Trophy as well. Number 10, USC at number 21, Notre Dame. Sam Hartman's last gasp for the Heisman against Caleb Williams, who really can only make his case for back-to-back even stronger. You have number 12, North Carolina, hosting number 25, Miami. I bet they've worked on the victory formation this week in Miami. If they didn't, then he really should be fired. Number 15, Oregon State. They host number 18, UCLA. And we finally start to get some clarity in the Pac-12.
Yep.
And we'll start getting some clarity around college football. And the Pac-12 this year is the best league. Next year it goes to being the 2-pack.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's going to be a fun weekend of college football. A lot of games I'm really excited about. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we'll talk some college football with Bill Bender.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Looking for your next car? Give Car Corner a try. Car Corner, located at 2653 Mount Moriah. They specialize in cars under $15,000. Bad credit? No problem at Car Corner. CarCornerMemphis.com. That's CarCornerMemphis.com. They even have cash cars under $7,000. That's Car Corner at 2653 Mount Moriah. CarCornerMemphis.com. Look for the building with the teal green roof.
At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll find only spectacular natural diamonds that will remain treasured for generations. That promise is now symbolized by the engraved Sissy signature and sapphire, representing our guarantee of extraordinary service, selection, experience, and quality. Stop by any of our stores or visit sissyslogcabin.com and experience the Sissy's promise for yourself. Find a jeweler for a lifetime, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando is growing. This family business started up 5 years ago with just one pallet, and now they have hundreds. Tim, the owner, gets calls from people everywhere and can sometimes save them up to 50% on wood flooring, carpet, tile, and vinyl. Jenkins Floors and More helps with renovations, home building, and installation. Jenkins Floors and More, number 6 East Commerce Street in Hernando. Also in Little Rock and coming soon to Tennessee. Call 662-469-9350 for more information.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It already wants to run a little bit slow, sometimes 55 southbound across that bridge coming over from West Memphis. As traffic builds in the construction right now, it's moving 55 north and southbound between McLemore and South Parkway. Clear shot right now, 240 as you get on to 385 Billmores Parkway. That looks good, actually, all the way out through Collierville. Hey, enjoy Smoky Mountain Fall Festival going on right now at Ober-Gatlinburg. Check it out at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is Bill Bender, national college football writer for the Sporting News and on Twitter X at Bill Bender. Here's Bill with Brian and Brett.
Bill Bender joining us now to talk some college football from the Sporting News. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. I'm sure you've been asked about this all week, but I do want to get your thoughts, get it out of the way early. What did you make of Mario Cristobal and the end of that game against Georgia Tech?
Well, I mean, kneel the football. There's no explanation. There's no excuse. There's no talking around it. You kneel the football there. We didn't have a victory formation. Every team in America should have that. Mm-hmm. You get out. Some of these coaches overthink things, and quite frankly, I'm critical of coaches most of the time because I get it. There's a lot of pressure, but that one they brought on themselves, and whatever their win total this year is, it should have been a +1.
Yeah, knocked them from the ranks to the undefeated, and now they're at Chapel Hill Saturday night against North Carolina. If they're in that same situation and they don't get in victory formation even in victory, he should be fired.
I mean, an NFL coach would be fired, Brett. I think, other than like Belichick or Reed, with somebody, because they wouldn't do that anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, and I don't know how I've talked to some high school coaches about this all week that just don't know how you go back in the locker room after that and get your players to believe. So it's a really interesting flex point for that program this weekend against the North Carolina team that's pretty complete.
We really did used to, a long time ago, kind of a post Herm Edwards with the Eagles against the Giants. That changed the whole football landscape with that play and how do you run the clock out. Larry Zonka was on that Giants team as well that day when Joe Pisarcik fumbled to Herm Edwards. But we also used to instead of spiking the ball right at the feet of the center, we used to hum it out of bounds to stop the ball. Things moved on. Mario Cristobal needs to move on.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough to do that. Like I said, you mentioned that Miracle at the Meadowlands play. I mean, just that, and then the defense on the other side. Now, that's a little more forgivable, even though it's not. That they were in coverage, trying not to give up a game-time field goal, and obviously Georgia Tech made the play. So. In college football, we've had some wonky finishes before. You guys both know that. But everything about that ending, like I said, it's just they went from college football playoff sleeper to lose 3 or 4 games now. It's really crazy.
Yeah, and it's how fragile it is. Bill, we really do depend on you for national college football talk, but also SEC. So I'm gonna quickly ask you about the SEC. We know this year is not vintage. How good is it?
Good enough, though. I mean, Georgia's still good. Ole Miss is a good football team. LSU would be a better football team if they could tackle. Everybody wanted to pile on Alabama. They're still a good football team. They still got a chance to get back to the playoff, and they're not dead till they're dead. So I think it's fine. I mean, the non-conference losses were a little jarring, but as far as a conference with how many playoff teams are they going to get, or are they going to get a playoff team? Yeah, certainly. The SEC will definitely be getting one.
Absolutely. Well, what'd you make of Red River on Saturday? I was loving Oklahoma's defense, the turnovers, the goal line stand, and then the setting, that finish was just unbelievable. What'd you make of that game?
Oh, it's fun. I mean, that game's always fun. I use the analogy of, I have a couple best friends, and when we used to play video games, you do things differently because you want to beat your best friend.
Right.
And they empty out the kitchen sink in those games. That it was a highly entertaining game. All credit in the world goes to Dylan Gabriel. I mean, what a set of plays he made toward the end of that game, and even when Texas took the lead. So, yeah, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I do think the best bet for a playoff team, both of those teams win out, and then they have a rematch. Otherwise, it could get a little dicey for that conference.
Yes, it could. And with Brett Yormark's absence, I just wonder if he would be there at the championship game to award the championship trophy to whatever team takes it. Everybody had Michigan 6-0 to this point. Michigan 6-0 to this point, but Michigan's gotten to this 6-0 the way you should. It's been early. It's been often. It's been mostly easy.
Yeah, they're really good. They're probably. I mean. Georgia's earned the right to be called number one, but of all the other contenders, the only one I would consider right now is Michigan.
Me too.
And I know they haven't played anybody, but they've still played 16. And you can play nobody, Miami, Georgia Tech, and lose a football game. Michigan just is dominating people I read a tweet today, they're the slowest paced offense in the year in the FBS, and they're still scoring 37 a game, and they're still just whatever, a couple analogies you could use, the boa constrictor, whatever.
So efficient.
They just, the old school way.
I'm really excited about this game on Saturday between USC and Notre Dame. Obviously, both of them coming in with a little bit of adversity last week. Notre Dame losing to Louisville last week, and USC having to go to, 3 overtimes with Arizona in that one. What do you want to see in this one on Saturday?
Well, I mean, for Notre Dame, it's an emotional game. It's a rivalry. It's a good rivalry. It's a fun rivalry. And they'll test Caleb Williams' patience a little bit. Caleb Williams had 3 touchdowns against them on the ground last year because they kind of made him stay patient. There should be some emotion in that stadium. Not a lot, but a little pressure on Marcus Freeman at this point. You know, this stretch, they could potentially lose 3 or 4 games. You could say, well, we played 4 ranked games in a row. TCU played 4 ranked games in a row last year, and they won all of them. So, I mean, that's why if you want to say we're Notre Dame and we're the big game in town, well, there's other schools that have had to answer that bell in recent seasons.
We got a quarterback matchup out in the Pac-12. Feels like we have one every single weekend. Washington at home hosting Oregon. Bo Nix versus Michael Penix. That's good stuff Saturday afternoon on ABC. Washington, a 3-point favorite. I really like Washington. I think they're one of the top 3 or 4 or 5 teams. They got to win this one at home because this is an elimination game.
Now, both teams are really good. Top 2 offenses in the country, top 2 statistical offenses in the country. They're going to put up a lot of yards. Early in the week, I picked Washington. I like the passing offense. I like what Michael Penix does. They get up and down the field. But as the week's gone on, maybe I should pick Oregon. You know, they get the 3 running backs that average 7 yards a carry. They have Bo Nix, who veteran quarterback, making great plays. They have a top 10 scoring defense. And Dan Lanning's got a lot of headlines about the Deion game, but he's quickly becoming one of the best coaches in the country. Remember, he got drilled by Georgia last year.
Opening day.
For the most part since, Brett, he's been lights out.
He has been, and he was here from the Bama shop, and I think earlier today in his weekly hit with Pat McAfee, Coach Nick Saban said he was set to hire him, and Kirby swooped in and got him.
Wow.
Yeah, So, obviously what he's doing is pretty effective. So, I think it's a really fun game. Biggest game of the week, top 10, another showdown, Pac-12. There'll be more of those next week, by the way. That's the 3rd best conference in the country.
It
is.
is.
The best conference in the country, but playoff-wise, I think with the cannibalization, they'd still be behind the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yeah, this sorting out's really going to get them, but you have to play, and somebody's got to lose. But I love this, and there was a time in college football, Bill, where I probably, to some people, I said it too much, but we have a playoff in college football. It's called the regular season. We didn't have a bracket until we got to the 4-teamer, but now we have a playoff called the regular season and a bracket, and it makes for these great matchups.
Yeah, I have this argument daily with my editor, and I'm like, there's 12 teams that could win the national title. Now, that's why we sorted out in the regular season.
Give me 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, like after Penn State, Ohio State, after USC, Utah in a few weeks, after Tennessee, Alabama next week. That's an elimination game. That's what it's for.
Absolutely.
That's why the stages are so big. That's why the consequences are so high, and that's why I love it. So, I'm like I said, open-minded, and the 12-team playoff will be what it is. But if you think it's not going to have some impact on the regular season and make it more like the NFL, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it almost has to, Bill, and we know contractually next year's it for the TV deal. There are many, Tim Brando's out there on other shows saying that he thinks it's going to be a 1 year at 12 before it even gets expanded past that. And I know we're looking forward to those campus games. I am too. The idea of fill in the blank of who goes where and that kind of matchup at a lot of places, that will be the biggest game ever to hit those respective campuses. But I think that's going to be a one-shot deal. It's almost no way the bowl chieftains don't fold in all of the playoff into the bowl system.
Yeah, it's a lot of money and it's going to be changed. It's going to be changed for all of us, just like the BCS is a change. The BCS was the best change, though, because it got us on this path, and there are still people out there that kind of like the BCS. I was a fan for the most part, and then we went to 4, and then I think the biggest reason that people tired of 4 so quickly, and I wonder if it wouldn't have been the case had Alabama and Alabama in particular not been basically college football's version of the Patriots.
Yeah.
then maybe it would still be enough for people. And I've thought all along, the number to me at the end of the year, it's 6.
Mm-hmm.
There's always 5 or 6 teams that you're like, they could actually win the national title. I don't think it's ever been too far north of that in my lifetime.
Well, that's a really good point, Bill. We're talking to Bill Bender from the Sporting News, talking college football. Bill, through 6 weeks, who is your Heisman front runner so far, and who are some other names that you think are right there behind him?
Well, I mean, Michael Penix and Caleb Williams. Jaden Daniels has been great.
Yeah.
Those type of guys. I think Brock Bowers deserves consideration. I mean, if you're talking best player position and the gap between everybody else, there's not a bigger one. He's unbelievable. And some other names will crawl in there. I think J.J. McCarthy or Blake Corum could be in that mix. Marvin Harrison could get in that mix. But hard to ignore and that's why Michael Penix Bo Nix is so big this weekend. I mean, the winner of that game probably is headed to New York, at least as a final.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be a fun weekend, like you said, those kind of top 25 matchups we've got and more coming next week. But, Bill, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
Thank you, Bill. Have a great weekend.
Bill Bender joining us from the Sporting News. And I should have asked him. We'll have to get his thoughts next week on, you brought this up yesterday, the Big Ten going to have at least 9 games on Friday nights next year. And I saw this morning Ohio State pushing back on that, basically saying what you said yesterday about for Friday with classes and everything, it is just an absolute nightmare to try to host a game.
It is. Now, and imagine Columbus and that campus and that size, then imagine these little old bitty, by a Tuesday in June, small SEC Mayberry towns.
Yeah. And Ohio State, I think, also said in their statement about is that they didn't want to high school football, and Ohio is another state just
arguably the biggest.
Yeah, I mean it's
best.
huge
they would
when
argue
it comes
that.
to absolutely. But I mean huge high school football, and they don't want. I mean because when Ohio State is playing, that is the center of attention in Ohio.
Quick, high hard one.
Okay.
A season inside Ohio high school football or a season inside Indiana high school basketball? Which one do you do?
Don't make me pick this. Don't make me pick
Both
this.
Both are great.
Both are unbelievable. I'll go Ohio with football.
I'll go basketball then.
All right.
We got it covered.
I like it. We've got it all covered. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we'll talk some baseball. We'll talk about this game tonight between Atlanta and the Phillies. We'll also talk about some of those games that happened last night. That's next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
The 4-1 Memphis football team is home Friday, October 13th at 6 o'clock for a huge conference matchup against Tulane for first place in the conference. It's wrestling night. Enjoy the matches on Tiger Lane and meet and greet with the wrestlers inside the stadium. Tickets start at just $20 to watch this big-time conference matchup. Be at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium Friday, October 13th at 6 o'clock. Purchase your tickets today at GoTigersGoTix.com.
Howdy folks, Dominic Cunha, General Manager at Sunrise Buick GMC on Covington Pike. Our Western Trading Day sales event is here again. My ranch managers have been instructed to slash prices, so if you're looking for a great deal, don't look any further. New Buicks and GMCs, discounts up to $6,500 and a $12 million used car inventory. The Sunrise Ranch on the Pike is the place to go. Bad credit, bankruptcy, slow pay, that's okay. Here at Sunrise, we specialize in secondary financing and used cars below $69.95. Visit us online at sunriseonthepike.com or in person, 1800 Covington Pike.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Hey, in New York, right now I'm looking at all of the unders for Jets offensive numbers. Passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm looking at all the unders in New York. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Golfers, swing into Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest new fall arrivals from TaylorMade, Callaway, and Titleist. Come by and test drive the new TaylorMade P790 irons, the new Callaway Apex Pro iron sets, and the new Titleist T-Series irons. While you're there, get a free custom fitting on the new arrivals and more. Edwin Watts Golf Shops is your headquarters for all the latest golf gear from all the top manufacturers. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Shop us in store or online at edwinwattsgolf.com.
Ian Eagle here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Week 6 of the NFL season kicks off with prime-time AFC West action from Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. The Chiefs have won 4 straight and hope to make it 5 against a struggling Denver Broncos team with Russell Wilson under center. Join me and Devin McCourty for the call on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Hey, in New York, right now I'm looking at all of the unders for Jets' offensive numbers. Passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm looking at all the unders in New York. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
The baseball is kicked back to tonight because there's only one game remaining because of a lot of elimination. Just one game tonight, Braves at Phillies, Strider against Suarez. That's at 7:07 on TBS. If the Phillies win tonight and close this out, 3-1, that'd be it for the Braves. No baseball tomorrow, no baseball Saturday. It won't resume again until Sunday night at 7:15. I bet baseball doesn't mind getting out of the way for the whole day of college football on Saturday and missing a lot of the action on Sunday. They got to go up against a Sunday night football game. Mm-hmm. But that's not how the baseball playoffs should be.
No.
They got to be more flexible. This is not a fixed date thing, and that's what they're trying to do. And that's why we're getting these November World Series finishes in the day. And I'm not talking that many days ago. In the day, like 10 years ago, somebody would be playing tomorrow regardless. That American League Series would be firing off tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that I don't understand. And we're starting to get it more in other sports too, but baseball for sure, of where everything has to start together. Instead of like, hey, let's go ahead and get this game going, and then maybe
let's get it going.
And then you can spread it out a little bit more on the back end instead of the front end. And so I understand they've got to go, depending on what happens in this game tonight, they've got to go back to Atlanta. But, I wish we would, I don't know. I hate that it's going to go up against, the college football on Saturday, but I just don't know when else you would do it.
If we have a game.
If we have a game, that's correct.
If it's closed out tonight, we have nothing until Sunday night.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid in this modern society of things, you get a little bit forgotten.
I think so, and that's why I think no matter what happens tonight, like you said, you should have those two other teams sitting there. You should have Texas and Houston saying,
Get
no
going,
matter what
boys.
happens, tomorrow y'all are starting game 1. And I think a lot of these teams, especially after seeing what happened to these teams that have been sitting around all the time, I think Houston, the one team to survive, sitting for a week. I think both, especially Texas, with all the runs they've scored these first 2 series.
Let's play.
I think they'd be gung-ho to start tomorrow.
Because timing is everything in baseball. Now Major League Baseball, I know why they're doing it. They want to drive it to their big event. If they had to finish Thanksgiving Eve, they don't care.
Yeah.
But there was a time that was a lot more flexible. They're going in. Major League Baseball is going in. I don't know when they send the buy signal, but for these 4 teams, when they get down to 4 remaining, they're going to go in those cities and they're going to try to buy every hotel room within any proximity. I guarantee you they've already got broad proffers, broad understandings with cities and chambers of commerce and things. I don't blame them. It's business. And they're going to go in and they're going to buy those hotel rooms, I'm going to say, for, let's say, $100 a night.
Right.
And then they dictate the rate going forward, and to their corporate partners and to TV partners and to media and to fans, they're going to be renting those rooms for about $600 a night. And they want to control that, and you can with more fixed dates instead of as soon as the series ends, you get it going 2 days later in the next one, like we used to.
Right, yeah. And so, I mean, like you said a couple minutes ago, I mean, especially with everything going on right now, you can get forgotten very easily. And so, I hope that doesn't happen with baseball, especially this year, because I'm really excited about all of these teams still standing and what they can do.
The Braves are not as heavy of a favorite tonight as I thought they would be.
What are they? I haven't even looked.
$150.
Wow.
Minus 150. I mean, that's a pretty good price.
That is a pretty good price.
And it's a pretty good price for a visiting team.
Absolutely.
But I thought with the win or else, and with all they've won this year, 104 games, I mean, I thought it'd be up over maybe around 200.
Especially with Spencer Strider on that. I mean, you like you just said, I mean, you're not finding in the regular season, you're not finding Spencer Strider minus 150 anytime.
Do you see anything wrong with anything Bryce Harper did last night?
No.
I don't either.
No, I mean, Bryce Harper, I mean, he has literally been vocal about.
I would prefer less yapping around sports.
Sure.
But that's almost the way of starting these series a day or two after they end.
But I mean, and Bryce Harper has been the guy that has literally come out and said, I'm going to talk, I'm going to celebrate, I'm going to do all of this.
Right,
I want to make it. Absolutely. And so, but he's come out and said, I'm going to do all this stuff. I want to make baseball fun and I want to make it entertaining to people. And he's doing that.
How galling, or did they win? Did the Nationals winning it in 2019 insulate Bryce Harper driving them crazy?
Probably, yeah.
Probably so.
I think so.
It fixes most things.
It does. I mean, when you can say, you can point to a lot of people from that team that helped win that World Series, but he's a big one. If you're going, top 3, or he's not, he's in that top 3. So I certainly think that helps a lot.
Phillies close it out tonight.
I don't know. I mean, Spencer Strider's an unbelievable pitcher, and
I think they do.
I think they could. I mean, Spencer Strider lost in his last game.
I wouldn't bet a cent on that game.
I wouldn't either. I probably won't, but I can't promise you anything, though, Brett. But
you'll end up having
I'm sure.
a big list of wagers.
I'm sure. But, Spencer Strider's already taking a loss, and I think this has nothing to do with the pitching. Philly's been so hot at the plate that it's hard to stop them. Even in that game they lost. Yeah. I mean, even in that game that lost, they were up big. That crowd is huge. So, I mean, I think we very well could get a closeout tonight.
Phillies, Arizona.
How about that?
I'll warm up to that, but I really love Texas and Houston.
Texas and Houston's really fun. The whole same division, thing you got going there, just the proximity. I mean, everything about that, I absolutely love.
Would you believe in my life? I went to a game in Houston and a game of the Rangers at Old Arlington Stadium before I ever went to St. Louis.
Really?
We went to Houston summer of 69, August of 60. I started first grade the next week.
Yeah.
And then we went to Arlington and saw the Yankees and the Rangers. Ted Williams was manager.
How about that?
The first year for the Rangers in Arlington in 72. 2. And I didn't go to St. Louis till 78 to a game.
Really? Wow. I mean, that's shocking to me. Sometimes I think you were born in Busch Stadium.
Especially this time of year. I think I've spent more nights at that Hilton at the ballpark in October than any other hotel alive.
That's great. I mean, hey, that's fandom. That's what it's all about. But no, I'm excited about this game tonight. Like you said, hard to come close to in terms of betting it when you've seen how good Philly's been at the plate, but how good Spencer Strider is. I really don't know which way I would go.
The Braves, but I think the Phillies take it tonight.
Yeah, I think you're probably. I mean, you could be right. You could be wrong. I don't know. I'm so confused about this series and this game tonight. I am really excited about it, though. But that will do it for our first hour. Let's go ahead and grab a break. When we come back, we'll talk NBA with Keith Smith.
It doesn't matter if you're at the lake, if you're hunting, fishing, playing golf, or just playing around, Scooters Plus can hook you up with the mobility that you need. Scooters Plus has the largest vehicle and parts inventory in the Mid-South and the best service department. You can choose from ATVs, UTVs, golf carts, motorcycles, dirt bikes, trikes, scooters, and even electric bikes. Come in today to start or wrap up your holiday shopping with 25% down on Christmas layaways. Scooters Plus, 3425 Summer Avenue. Call Sam at 458-8843 or go online to scootersplus.us. We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day. But it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk. Don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
Start your day the right way at La Palapa with the biggest, baddest breakfast burrito around. Chorizo, cheese, rice, beans, and eggs served with fresh salsa, and it's served all day. La Palapa has daily lunch specials, all served with rice and beans, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Try a torta, breaded chicken, steak, chorizo, or ham served with mayo, avocado, lettuce, tomato, and jalapenos, all in a hoagie. Plus amazing soups and dinner entrees, all at La Palapa, 5255 Summer Avenue. La Palapa, the little hut with big taste.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Most shoppers today fall into one of 2 categories. You could be like Dave, who settles for nothing but the finest.
I drive only European luxury sedans, wear the finest Italian leather shoes, my shirts are custom made, and I expect white glove service from those I do business with. I appreciate world-class brands, and at this point in my life, I just don't want to compromise on quality, no matter what I buy.
Or you might be like Steve, whose goal is to always get the best deal.
I'm frugal. I'm all about finding value. I want the best price, and I don't mind going out of my way to get it. I work hard for my money, and I just want to make sure when I buy something, I can have confidence in knowing I'm not overpaying for it. Stop being cheap, it's being smart.
You never see these 2 guys in the same store, except for one.
That's why I shop at Genesis Diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds is that rare shopping experience where you can have it all. Uncompromising luxury and unbeatable value, exceptional service, and the guaranteed best price in America. A premium experience and a smart purchase. This is where the best of all worlds come together. Genesis Diamonds, Memphis's direct diamond importer at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawild Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone, call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. That traffic out of Midtown starting to really pick up just in the last couple of minutes on I-40 over here at Chelsea. I-40 looks good coming past White Station as you continue I-40 out towards Fayette County. 240 is picking up just a bit going eastbound 240 from Mill Branch all the way out to 385. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry. They're located at 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full-service family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show, and on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Keith Smith joining us now from Spot Track and the Front Office Show to talk the NBA. Keith, thanks so much for joining us. And me and Brett were talking earlier this week, kind of talking about the Grizzlies, their preseason. And I feel like with the NBA, I feel like you can learn more about the team in NBA preseasons, whether it be your favorite team or another team. I feel like you can learn more about an NBA team in preseason than in any other sport. The NFL, MLB, NHL. I think you can learn more in the NBA. How much do you feel like you learn watching these preseason games every year?
It kind of depends team to team. I think some teams are more proactive about using the preseason to really try to work things out as far as, all right, how does this guy fit? What some lineups might look like? What are some of the rotations? The things I really look for are young players. Well, what do they look like? Especially guys coming into their second and third years. How have they improved since the last time we saw them? Players coming back from injury. How do they look physically? Is a big thing I keep my eye on. What does that look like? And then it's new places and new faces, or new faces and new places, I should say. That I like to see. What does that look like as well? So I think the smaller roster sizes lend themselves to that. But then you have the handful of teams that, like Philadelphia, to this point, they really haven't played some of their key guys. The Celtics have kept guys in and out. So I think a lot of teams are kind of looking at it as long as we get a couple runs in, that's good, and we'll kind of figure stuff out on the fly in the first month of the season.
Any big takeaways on a new coach in a new place? Because there's a couple of new faces and new places on the coaching front. Does preseason carve anything into you about a coaching move?
It can. That tends to be even less so because teams are just, all sports, I feel like they've gotten so paranoid of giving anything away before they play a game that counts that, you don't see a ton of, full-scale sets, in the NBA right away. Rotation-wise, lineup-wise, you're going to get some of that. But, so that part I don't look for quite as much. Maybe you might pick up on something where it's like, okay, they're doing this, and that's different than the way they had run things before. But that tends to be more a product of like a lineup change or a complete style of play change than it is anything as far as, they're running, this kind of offense, or they're doing this defensively right now. That more comes in, the latter part of October and then the beginning part of November.
Keith, earlier this week we had Chet Holmgren versus Victor Wembanyama. Were you able to catch any of that matchup? I know two guys that obviously for Victor, all of the hype surrounding him in his first season, and then for Chet coming back from injury, missing his entire rookie season. So basically two rookies, both eligible for Rookie of the Year this year. What do you make of these two guys going into the season, and were you able to check out any of that preseason game?
I did. I actually saw all the minutes the two of them played. I was glued to that one, and it is one of those things where both guys do these things where it almost feels like some kid and his buddy booted up a video game, or both like, all right, we're both going to create completely ridiculous, unreal guys and play against each other. Because it just, some of the things both of them do don't make sense. Victor Wembanyama had the play where he was completely beaten in a rotation and then still got back and blocked the shot. You saw Jalen Williams, who is very good. He was kind of going up and just, soft laying it in because no one should have been there. And Wembanyama all of a sudden was there to take it away. He did a nice job getting out and running. I thought he had some really nice passes. And then Holmgren, the fun thing with him was he did some stuff off the dribble, whether it was dribble drives all the way to the rim, or he was, a couple dribbles into a pull-up jump shot. You're going to see with that Thunder team, if he can hold up defensively at the 5, and I think he'll be able to for the most part, they're going to be able to play all those guards and wings around him. He's going to pull those bigs away from the paint, and they're just going to be an incredible team to watch develop over the course of this year. So the thing I was left mostly with as a takeaway is, boy, it's fun that we get a decade plus of these two guys going head-to-head. I can't wait.
It's going to be something to watch, both developments of both those players. Holmgren a year later after the injury last year. For Wembanyama in his rookie season, do you think, Pop, you just be that constant on defense, and we'll worry about that offensive stat line as the years roll on?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely going to be something to that. I think defensively, it's going to be, you better be able to hold your own. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I think Pop's it's not that he's not going to play him, if he makes mistakes, because obviously they've got way too much invested in that. But if he's just completely, in over his head, I think they would, take a major step back and figure it out. But for the most part, I think he's going to be okay defensively. I think he's going to be actually ahead on that end of the floor, which is really uncommon for a lot of rookies. Yeah. Most of them come in more ready to contribute on offense. And I think offensively, it's going to be run the floor. Eventually, we'll teach these guys how to throw you an entry pass because they're all throwing them at his chest, which is, head high, and, for everybody else, which is easy to pick off. It's going to be, hey, throw it up where only he's going to go get it, and then he'll just turn and lay it in, especially when he's got a small field in transition. So I think, they're going to ask him to do that, and then that will grow. And then it'll be, all right, now we're going to ask you to do some pick and roll, stuff where you're the roll man. And then by the end of the year, it'll be, we're going to put the ball in your hands where you're going to be the creator out of pick and roll and those kind of things. And that's when, we'll really watch his production explode.
So what has been your biggest takeaway through these games to the positive, and what's been one that you thought, I'm a little on alert for this? Anything?
They're probably leading towards the same thing. Like I'm really pleasantly surprised how good Kawhi Leonard looks physically. You always worry, especially with him coming off yet another knee surgery. What's that going to look like? I think he's looked pretty good. I think Paul George has looked pretty good. I think Kristaps Porzingis missing the entire summer. That's all been good. So the guys coming back from injury, so far so good with almost all of them that I've been able to check out, which is really encouraging as the season's getting started. And then a surprise thing, for me that jumped out, and I just wrote about it a little bit today on Spot Track, is Kobe White started at point guard for the Bulls, and he's really had kind of a weird career trajectory. He was worked him in slowly as a bench guy his rookie year, then he started second year, then they added Lonzo Ball, and he went back to the bench, and then, they moved him back to the bench again last year, and it's just a kind of a weird go for him. But he started, he looked pretty solid, so I'm excited to see what he kind of becomes in that role, because I feel like we've been kind of a long time coming for him.
Keith, I'm curious your thoughts on the Hornets this year. I know they're kind of in the headlines lately after waiving Kai Jones, and he made headlines with some videos that he posted on social media where he was just kind of sweaty, and people were worried about him, and now they've waived him. But for this Hornets team, a very young team, very talented young players, I think, but LaMelo Ball, we've kind of heard in the past year or so, maybe him being a little unhappy at times in this Hornets organization. What do you think about this team going into this season?
It's hard for me to get a real handle on where the Hornets are at right now with all the ridiculous off-the-court stuff.
Yeah, throwing Miles Bridges in there too, I guess now.
Yeah, the Miles Bridges news is extremely disappointing, and maybe more information will come out, and it doesn't look as bad as it looks right now. But if it's as bad as it looks right now, he just needs to be gone from the league. Full stop. There should not be. You were given a second chance earlier than many thought you should have got it, and you blew it. This is bad. What's going on with him, and then the Kai Jones. That I hope the Hornets, even though he's no longer a part of the organization, and I'm sure they in the NBA will do what they can to get him help, because it seems like he clearly needs it. And, the question is he going to accept it? When we get past those things, I think, LaMelo Ball is really good. This is a team that I think a lot of people kind of forgot was pretty good 2 years ago. They made it to the play-in tournament, and they were kind of hanging around that phase over the last couple of years. So I think, that's, one thing with them. But I think it's, one of the things that we kind of look at with the Hornets is, can they put it all together? Because last year was a complete disaster. And if they don't put it all together, we're hitting the point with that Hornets team that we're probably looking more towards a full-scale, tear it down and start all over. And, and it won't be the same front office doing it either. It'll be all new guys kind of all over the place.
Yeah, and even new ownership now. And how many times have we had the full tear-down rebuild of the Hornets?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, they've just never really found that traction. Even going back to the original Hornets, they would have some good groups and have some good years, but then never quite were able to get over the hump where, at least, they're kind of brethren that came in around the same time as them. The Orlando Magic have made the finals a couple times. The Miami Heat have won titles. Yeah. The Timberwolves are kind of similar, but they had a long run of success with Kevin Garnett there, that the Hornets just have never really had that full-scale run, and really haven't under this, second iteration, starting with the Bobcats. So something needs to be done there. It seems like that's one of those situations where it's all just kind of gotten a little too sideways with a lot of the stuff that's happened there over the last few years. And, and what you don't want to have is, you don't want to have LaMelo Ball, who's now under contract with this new big extension, a year from now say, man, this is a mess, get me out of here. Because then you're going to have a major setback that it's going to take a long time to get back from.
Basketball crazy area, and you're right. They've had a couple of good runs. They got a great arena, and Charlotte's boomtown.
Yeah, I think the challenge sometimes is they're so college basketball crazed, and that I know was one of the things when they announced hey, we're going back to Charlotte. The Hornets might have moved, but we're going back. We believe it's a market that should have a team. I know there were some people who were like, really? Like, it didn't work the first time. And, but I think the thing is, if you get the right mix of guys and you start really having sustained success, guess what? We all know fans will show up. Like this, everybody loves a winner, and they will show up. So that's something they're going to have to, figure that out there to really make it work. I'm encouraged that maybe they will with this new ownership group, but we'll see how that all comes together.
Our guest is Keith Smith with Spot Track and the Front Office Show, and a regular with us, and we so appreciate it, and we're getting really, really close. And the commissioner and the league office, they're not letting up. Now NBA Executive VP and Head of Basketball Ops, Joe Dumars, he's communicated to all the players, we're an 82-game season. How do they enforce it, Keith?
Yeah, I mean, they put out the player participation policy, and I think that's the best they can do. We'll see how many of these guys come down with back spasms, or they come down with, flu-like symptoms, if that makes a return. That's gone away over the last few years because that kind of could be something else that nobody wants to deal with. So we'll see.
And that could be a head cold, or it could be the cocktail flu.
Exactly. So we'll see. If those things come back, but I think the NBA is trying, and I think a big part of this is what they're trying to send is as they're getting ready to sit down at the table and negotiate, multi-billion-dollar media rights deals, is what they don't want to have is the partners say, hey, we're ready to give you $10 million, but you know what? If you can't guarantee your stars are going to be on the floor, we're going to cut that down to $8 billion instead of $10 billion, and that's where everybody starts to lose. So the league is trying to do what they can, and one thing I want to make clear, because I see so much misconception about this, especially from folks who are my age and older, of these guys are soft. They never would have flown back in my day. Things, not the players. The players very rarely are a big part of this load management. For the most part, talk to any of them, they want to be out there. They want to play. They want to be out there in the game. Some of them understand the reasons behind it, but that doesn't mean they want to do it. It's the teams. And why the teams are doing it is it's been made clear all anybody really cares about is win a title. We don't necessarily really care if you win 50 games every year for a 5-year stretch, but flame out in the playoffs, people start to lose interest. So teams are doing everything they can to maximize title chances in the leagues, now pushing back, putting in these policies. So we're going to see how this all comes together over the course of this year. But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to be able to tell those TV partners and streaming partners and whatever it is, hey, we're going to have our guys out on the floor, pay accordingly.
But Keith, there's going to be that one example somewhere of a guy saying, look, I just badly need a night off. No, you got to play. The league's really cracking down on this. And then it's provable that he really did need the night off, and an injury was created by it or exacerbated by it, then that PR nightmare, and now, Keith, and I think we all societally are and should be more sensitive to, I just need a break from the office today and tonight. And how do you tell them, no, you're making a lot of money, get out there?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? I love what I do, and there are days where I'm like, I just need to sit and watch bad television today, right? Like, I need to not do this for a little while, and I absolutely love, what I do, and and I work, primarily from home unless I'm out covering games somewhere, so it's really hard for me to get too upset about any of this. But I think what we're going to see is the NBA is saying, we have data that shows load management doesn't work. It doesn't achieve what these teams want it to achieve. And my thing is, show it to us. Let us see that data. If you can show it to me, then I'll be right there with you. I'll be backing you through the whole thing. But you got to show it to us. You can't just say it. Where the teams have shown, and multiple times have shown, hey, if this guy only plays 65 games, this is what we believe we're going to get out of him. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's going to continue to be a push-pull, a little bit of a tug-of-war out there. But I think, what you'll see is we're going to see a lot less of the, Steve Kerr at the end of a 6-game road trip send all of his starters on an early flight home before Game 6 and just play with the backups. I think those days are pretty well gone, and we won't see that very much anymore.
And the league has nicely said, we bought a load of goods from y'all. There was no data. We did our own, and okay, maybe some efficiency and productivity wanes, drops, but it doesn't create an injury.
Yeah, and now again, show it to me. Like, you can't just tell me that your data shows that. Like I need to see it before I'm going to believe that, because if we're just selling stuff, I got a really nice bridge in Brooklyn that I'd like to sell you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to show you that I can, but you pay me, and then we'll figure it out.
Keith, I got great Everglades property very close to you that I'll sell you for a good price.
Yeah, I got oceanfront property in Kansas for you too. So it turns into with a lot of this stuff where you kind of you gotta be a good partner here. If you're just going to say it, no one's going to buy into it. Everybody's going to kind of be like, okay, sure you do. But again, I think the important thing is you got to get the message through to the teams, because it's not the players. everybody calls the players soft and they're not tough and this and that and those kind of things, but they're not the ones who are choosing this. I like you guys know, I covered the Celtics for years. And Jason Tatum, under Brad Stevens, under Ime Udoka, and under Joe Mazzulla, all three coaches, when they've said, hey, you're getting the night off, he fights and argues to the point where they've had to tell him, like, hey, you can't behave yourself and sit on the bench and be off. You're not coming to the gym tonight. Like, we're going to order that you stay home because that's, how much he wants to get on the floor. And they force him to take those days off. And there's a lot more guys that are like that than the ones who are begging to, sit out every other game. That's just not really a thing.
Absolutely. Talking to Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. Well, here in Memphis, a lot of people really excited for the start of the Grizzlies season. We had another preseason game tonight, but the excitement after game one was about Derrick Rose. He played a lot of minutes in the first and second quarter. Didn't really play much after halftime. I think he had like 13 points or something like that. Only 2 points in that second game, and he has said a couple of times now since getting here that not playing last year has helped him a lot to kind of be refreshed and ready to go for this season. How much do you think, especially during these first 25 games without John Morant, that Derrick Rose at his age and with those kind of previous injuries, how much of an impact do you think he can make with the Grizzlies?
Yeah, he can have a good impact on the floor. I think as long as you get Marcus Smart back and ready to go, and I know they keep saying that, but I've lived through Marcus Smart with some of these injuries, and every once in a while one pops up with him that it's not quite as, just get right back out there as quick as they think he's gonna. So hopefully that's not the case, and he's ready to go. But I think, if they get him out there, and Derrick Rose, if you can, limit him to, 15 to 20 minutes a game, when he's playing, you're going to be in pretty good place, because I think he can still contribute. And I think what we see sometimes with guys like him at the end of their career, when they've had a year or two, whether it be through injury or simply just not being, part of regular minutes, when they've had that taken away from them, there's all of a sudden I got one more year in me, and I'm going to show you. And I think that's what we might be at with Derrick Rose, where it's, I got one more year left in me where I can really do some stuff, and let's go. And I think the Grizzlies are going to benefit from it.
Absolutely. Wow. I'm excited about the season. Last thing for you, Keith, I saw Darvin Ham said that he wants Anthony Davis to shoot more three-pointers. I see that someone wrote a story about it, and that Anthony Davis has a 23.8% from three-point range over the past 3 seasons. What do you make of them wanting to spread the floor a little, get Anthony Davis shooting more threes?
Yeah, it sounds good as long as he's making them. If he's not making them, which he's been very shaky. And a lot of people always point to, hey, in the bubble, he shot it great. Well, a lot of guys shot great in the bubble. There were no fan distractions. And a lot of guys said, I don't know if you guys have ever had the opportunity to shoot, on an NBA floor. There's a lot of open space. Even when the buildings are filled behind the basket, it just looks weird. And it takes a while to adjust, and some guys never do. And maybe that's where we're at with Anthony Davis. These gyms in the bubble were a lot more like the gyms, I played in growing up in high school, where there wasn't a ton of space. So, I'm all for it. If he can open up the floor, that's huge. Boy, that makes that Lakers team even that much more dangerous to guard and defend. But if he's not making them, then you can't force him to start taking, 6, 7 3-pointers a game if they're not going to go in, because now those just become wasted trips. Now, what you can't do is you can't give up on it by Halloween or Thanksgiving. If he's not making some, you've got to give it a real run. But if we start to get towards the first of the year and he's not making those 3-pointers, let him do what he does. Let him operate in the mid-range and around the paint, and let him be, that monster. Even though it's weird, then that pins him more into the traditional center role, which he doesn't want to be. He wants to be a 4. So you kind of say, hey, if you want to be a 4, you got to be able to shoot. So then maybe we can put another big on the floor with you. So, I think that's part of the motivation as well from Darvin Ham and the Lakers.
Well, Keith, we're getting closer and closer to the regular season. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do this again next Thursday.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you very much, Keith. And we are getting really close. If we're getting close to Grizzlies time of year, we're getting close to the holiday season. We're getting close to the first round of holidays in November, the Thanksgiving holidays, and then the December holidays, the Christmas holidays. And when Walker Taylor told me the other day at lunch, it's time, let it loose. Start talking about the holiday bird, the holiday smoked ham, the holiday smoked turkey, the holiday meal, the complete meal. We're going to go over all the dates between now and then. I'll just tell you, though, this year it does get a little tricky around Christmas with Christmas Eve on a Sunday and Christmas Day on a Monday, so you want to get in really, really early for that. We know Thanksgiving always falls on Thursday, and the commissary staff, it's closed on that day, so everything had to be picked up that Wednesday. Monday, the 20th of November, Monday, November 20th will be the last day to place Thanksgiving orders. Don't wait until then. Go ahead and get a head start now and help someone at your house where they don't have to do any of that work. Let the commissary do all the work, and they will do it so well for you. So many holiday meals made special with the holidays made special from the commissary. Since 1981, they've been doing it. It's that time again. Let the commissary do the cooking while you relax for the holidays, and always the barbecue there, always the party rooms there for any occasion. Holiday party season coming up, or to watch games, you can do that at the Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar. About 75 seated very comfortably there for that, and about 30 to 40 at the original in Germantown. And if you're craving an easier way to order, text commissary to 33733. That Memphis-style barbecue and ribs done the Memphis way, the slow-cooked way. Dig into the ribs or the shoulder, get it chopped or pulled on a plate, on a sandwich. All those appetizers like the barbecue nachos and tamales, all the sides, beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread as well. And you can order it by the pound or a party pack of 6-pack, 8-pack, 12-pack, perfect for tailgating tomorrow night on Tiger Lane, tomorrow night at high school football, including MUS and Christian Brothers tomorrow night, and all those great desserts. 901-754-5540. Put that in your phone now for all our barbecue year-round, but for the holiday season, it'll be perfect. Or go online at commissarybbq.com with locations in Collierville and Germantown.
Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about tonight's Thursday night football game between the Broncos and Chiefs. We'll talk also a little bit about some other NFL news and notes. That's next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The 4-1 Memphis football team is home Friday, October 13th at 6 o'clock for a huge conference matchup against Tulane for first place in the conference. It's wrestling night. Enjoy the matches on Tiger Lane and meet and greet with the wrestlers inside the stadium. Tickets start at just $20 to watch this big-time conference matchup. Be at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium Friday, October 13th at 6 o'clock. Purchase your tickets today at GoTigersGoTix.com.
Roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo Saturday, October 21st, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We'll be taking applications and interviewing candidates on site. Salary starting at $54,611, increasing to $60,713 after probation. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's really picked up just in the last few minutes as we stare at it live over here on 40 East, coming past Hollywood all the way over to White Station as traffic increases on 240 East from Mill Branch out to Bill Morris Parkway. It's starting to slow again, 55 south on the bridge over from West Memphis. Weimer's Jewelry, they're back open better than ever. They're located 7525 Highway 64. Go by and see them at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to
Gonna ask, did you see that the other night? It was very groin area. It was very reckless. So already, Dylan Brooks making some noise in a negative way in Houston. I hate it.
It's reckless when it's someone else. It's very dangerous when it's you.
Yes, yes, very, very true.
Come on, Dylan Brooks.
Come on, DB. I mean, good Lord. But hey, hopefully it works out for him, and in Houston, but that was not a good
start.
Not a good start at all. But we do have a Thursday night football game tonight in Kansas City between the Broncos and the Chiefs. The action will be on Prime Video, but you can hear all the action right here on Sports 56. I should say most people that listen to the games are probably used to the 7 o'clock start for the NFL. We'll be going to them at 6:30 tonight. No Reb Talk with Ole Miss on an off week. So we'll have a full pregame for this game tonight from Westwood 1. So we'll have that at 6:30, and then that game will start at about 7:15. But, Brett, you look at this game tonight. We talked about the massive lines all over the place in the NFL, and a massive one here. Kansas City at home, a 10.5-point favorite over the Broncos that just continue to struggle in Sean Payton's first season.
I would love to know, is Thursday more conducive to going over or under?
That's
Last Thursday night was a wild one.
Sure was. I mean, one team scored 40 points.
Yeah.
I mean, good question.
I wonder if there's any data out there, and we'll visit with Bruce Marshall tomorrow, as he always says, it's always dynamic. It's never static. Just because it's one thing doesn't mean it's going to be that the next time. But is the short week, is it lend to points? The health issue, I just don't know. But in Kansas City, it feels like a slaughter tonight.
Yeah, it feels like it is going to be pretty one-sided in this one. I mean, the Broncos have just not shown anything. I mean, the one game they won, it blows my mind that I have to keep saying this. The one game that they won was a game they had to come back by 20 points to win. And I should say, Sean Payton cut off his sleeves of his sweatshirt, and that was the reason they came back and won. He put some fire into him. But, I mean, this team just has been pathetic. I don't want to blame Russell Wilson because, the games I have been able to catch for Denver this year, he's doing a lot of really good things. He just doesn't have anybody around him.
He doesn't. It's a really bad roster. Have we gotten the best Sean Payton this year?
Ooh, I don't.
And people have forgotten, it got a little ugly at the end in New Orleans. He got the New Orleans Saints a Super Bowl championship. That right there is Hall of Fame stuff. And he did it with the great quarterback, head coach, synchronicity that he got with Drew Brees. It takes it all.
Yeah.
And finally delivered for New Orleans.
Yeah.
Brian, you can't believe how bad the Saints were most of their franchise existence. I tried to be a Saints fan in the 70s because of Archie Manning. It was impossible. They were so bad.
Well, I'm going to say we have not seen. We're not seeing a good Sean Payton.
I mean, I even tried harder than when I jumped ship like I so often do on pro teams now. I'm sorry. I really did.
Well, that's good to hear because I haven't seen much of that ever since I started working with you. It's usually my Browns this year, and then 3 weeks
Jaguars.
My Jaguars. Chargers. Can't forget about the Chargers.
The Titans thing.
The Titans.
The Chargers thing
this year, yeah.
This year.
Cowboys.
I tried the Browns thing.
You did try the Browns. You're big on the Browns.
With Baker Mayfield.
You did. But Sean Payton, really, it seems like
the Giants with Eli.
Yeah,
I've had about every team.
But for Sean Payton, it really seems like he came into here and he was like, oh, Denver, you've got Russell Wilson. I could go in there and fix that up easily. And then he gets there, he sees what they have and goes, wow, this is awful. I got to go blame Nathaniel Hackett now so that this ain't coming back on me. Because that would, looking back on that.
My big legacy.
Yes, because looking back on that, it just seems so random that he would just call out, well, Nathaniel Hackett, what he did was just awful here. And it's hard to really fix what he did last year. It just seems super uncalled for. But now looking at them sitting at 1-4, I'm starting to understand it. He knew he wasn't going to do any winning with this team, and he had to protect himself from something. And if I put it on the last coach and say, hey, I'm going to need some time here, that could save him in the long run.
What is that over and under? 47.5.
47.5.
That's pretty big.
I was about to say, that seems pretty high. I might think an under here.
Simple math, you need 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, and I don't see Denver doing much.
What do they contribute?
Offensively tonight? Not much at
2,
all.
2 maybe?
Maybe. Let's see. 16 week 1 against the Raiders. 33 against the Commanders. But I throw that out. If the Bears score 40 on you, I got to throw that out. 20 against the Dolphins, but they also gave up 70 in that game, so throw that one out as well. 28 against the Bears.
That pesky little note of 70 allowed.
Yeah. 28 against the Bears, 21 against the Jets. Here's the thing about the Broncos. Raiders have struggled this year. Commanders have struggled this year. Bears have struggled this year. Jets have struggled this year. The only real team they've played have been the Dolphins, and they gave up 70 points to them.
Back to the 70.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, who have they seen? They haven't seen a defense that's going to completely shut them down. You can say, yeah, they scored 20 points on the Dolphins, but, I mean, at some point, the Dolphins are saying, please, score on us.
But I don't know that Kansas City's really clicked this year. It's been
good
in spurts. They've not had the 4-quarter game, that everybody longs for, the artistry of one.
Yeah, no, they haven't, and I mean, just kind of consistent, and you're right. I mean, when you look at these past 2 weeks,
and 4-1,
sure, absolutely, and winning is the only thing that matters. And maybe not to me when I'm looking at these spreads, but that's beside the point. I mean, 2 weeks ago against a Jets team that really struggles. Yes, it's on the road, 3-point win. Last week on the road again against the Vikings.
Your gold star wins over the Bears.
Exactly, and how much of a gold star win is that when it's the Bears, and we've seen the Bears struggle. I think this could be the game where they really kind of show out at home. They haven't been home in 2 weeks, and it's a Thursday night game, and for a lot of teams that could, question, but we know how loud Arrowhead gets no matter who they're playing and no matter what day of the week it is. This could be the big game for them.
When do we get Lions mania? They keep winning. When do we get enamored? Kind of a nationwide. I got the answer to it. I asked the question I knew the answer to.
Okay.
It'll be their day, Thanksgiving.
Oh, absolutely.
And then from then on, they might be a centerpiece story.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, we either don't take them seriously. I'll never forget a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Let's see, we played down there this year, so it might have been even in 2019. And at a place for Thanksgiving. And a nice man, and the Lions game's on Thanksgiving Day. Yeah. Everybody assembling to eat. And a nice man goes, "Look at there, the Lions on TV." He goes, I don't think about the Lions very often.
No, outside of Thanksgiving, it doesn't really come to mind.
And that's it with them.
That is.
He said, I don't think about the Lions very often.
Now, I would argue that New York and these television networks were hoping you would be all in on the Lions earlier than Thanksgiving because they have put them. They've tried so hard. I mean, they had that first game on a Thursday. I'm pretty sure they've had another one since then on a Monday night or a Thursday night. They sure did. They've got one coming up in a couple weeks on Monday night. They have that game on Thanksgiving. So I think you ask New York and the people in L.A., the people who make these schedules and the times and the slots for national televised games, I think they're hoping you'd buy in before Thanksgiving and hoping that Thanksgiving could be really the crescendo where we got a ton of people already and we get everybody then.
And maybe they will draw people in. Just saw this note at the New York Post. Mattress Mac has $43 million riding on Astros World Series.
Mattress Mac.
Mac, what's going on here?
I mean, let's
talk, Mac.
He's got enough money to do that, and so good for him. But I hate seeing those figures every time. Every time, it just makes me sad. I mean, I wish I could be living the life of Mattress Mac.
That used to would buy a team. That doesn't get anything now.
Don't get anything now. I did see he put out a video like a couple weeks ago saying that the Astros had asked him to throw out the first pitch of the World Series.
They should let him sit on the mound.
Should. And that mattress firm told him he couldn't because I guess of their sponsorship with the playoffs, and they didn't want it to seem like they were endorsing one team over the other. So I'm like, I didn't really get it entirely, but he put out this video of almost like the president when the president puts out a video statement and he's steps up to the podium. He steps in front of a mattress and he's like, the Houston Astros asked me to throw. It was a little weird, but whatever, I guess.
Yeah, it's got crazy with Mattress Mac. Good luck, Mac.
Good luck, Mac. I do want to point out before I know we got to get to a break. I do want to point out this game that I'm really looking forward to, and I've been kind of going back and forth on if I want to maybe play this game in real life, maybe if I want to use it tomorrow as a lock or a shock. The Vikings and the Bears, two 1-4 teams. I think when you look at these two teams and the way people have been talking about them, you would say the Vikings should handle business, even though it's on the road. They've lost games, but they've been a fine team, I think. But what the Bears have done these past 2 weeks, getting that first win last week and putting up 40 points, and then the week before probably should have beat the Broncos. I just don't know about this game.
Kirk Cousins' numbers are fine.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But the rest of the team's not.
Uh-huh. And another thing, Justin Jefferson's not going to play. He's been put on the IR. They're a little banged up. TJ Hawkinson, I think, just came back from an injury last week. So banged up. I mean, I know people look at the schedule and go, gross, 1-4 versus 1-4, but that could be a really fun game on Sunday.
Should be about 40-40, shouldn't it?
I would think so, yeah.
It should be a wild game.
I think so. I mean, it really could be a wild game. So it should be a fun Sunday, and all that NFL action gets started tonight. Broncos versus Chiefs, Prime Video, but you can also catch it right here on Sports 56. That pregame starting on this station at 6:30. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We say all the time that above all else, Bell Tavern is Memphis's best little downtown bar. And we mean that. The food and service and atmosphere at Bell Tavern are all designed to make you feel at home. But above all else, you should know you're in a bar. And sometimes when you're in a bar, you might want something a little more special than the ice-cold beer that Bell Tavern offers. That's why there's the signature cocktails and the flights of spirits. Bourbon flights, whiskey flights, single malt scotch flights, agave flights, and even Japanese whiskey flights. All available at Bell Tavern, the bar that outbars all the other bars.
Wow, I feel good. Shopping at DriveMax. DriveMax, you get value.
Need a car that screams I feel good? DriveMax has it all. From cars to SUVs, find a tightly inspected used car that'll have you dancing all the way home. Call 901-664-2424 or visit DriveMaxApproval.com.
DriveMax, I got approved.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswangerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Hey sports fans, this is the Ultimate Vegas Insider, John Anthony, and I'm on fire. To prove it, I'm releasing your Thursday Night Report absolutely free on recorded message line. Call 1-800-244-5506. I love tonight's matchup. Denver, Kansas City is a monster. Side and total, Denver, Kansas City, critical information confirmed, plus college football. That's 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. I love to go 5-0 free on a recorded message. 1-800-244-5506. Information wins. John Anthony Sports, #1 against the spread. Denver, Kansas City is huge. Call 1-800-244-5506. You want information? I've got it. I love to go 5-0 or the season free. Call the recorded message line, 1-800-244-5506. 5 big plays, John Anthony has you covered. That's 1-800-244-5506. or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings & Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings & Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings & Grill.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brown. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, I've got two big numbers today. Both of them come from Major League Baseball as the postseason is just rolling right along. My first one comes from that game last night between the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. 4 is my big number. We had 4 home runs in a single inning yesterday. It's the first time in MLB postseason history that we've had 4.
And one near miss on a foul ball.
Sure did.
And then he got one.
That was unbelievable to watch. But 4 home runs in one inning is the first time it's happened in the postseason. The D-backs the first team to do that. In really the blow-up inning for the Dodgers that really led to that win. I mean, it was the only 4 runs the D-backs scored in the game. The final score was 4-2. Only 4 runs.
The crowd.
Yeah, it was incredible. That was a fun game to watch last night. My second big number is going to be another home run number. It's going to be 10. The Phillies have hit 24 home runs over their last 10 home playoff games dating back to last season. That is incredible. That is the most homers over a span of 10 home games in MLB postseason history. So we talked about the D-backs hitting a ton of home runs yesterday, but what the Phillies have done at home, hitting that long ball, has really been fun to watch.
My big number is 200 with a win Saturday. Coach Nick Saban will get his 200th win at Alabama if they're victorious over Arkansas. Right now he's 199 and 28 at Bama. You can see a lot of things out there that's got lesser wins because of they had to give wins back over some Mike Shula stuff. On the field, he's won 199 times. If somebody out there wants to say, hey, we really won in a forfeited game, you go ahead and do you. You go right ahead and be that proud of that. On the field of play, he's 199 and 28 at Alabama, and that's plus 17 over Coach Paul Bear Bryant after 227 games. He can't gain any ground even with a win Saturday because Bear won game 228 as well. Bear was 182, 37, and 8 after 227 games, so that's plus 17. If you gave all of Bear's ties, if you made every one of those wins, Saban would still lead by 9.
Holy cow. That's incredible. I mean, we talk about the success of Nick Saban and this dynasty as for, but that's unbelievable.
We're talking Bear Bryant.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking, Jerry Claiborne or Woody Woodenhofer.
No, oh my goodness. That's incredible.
We're not talking Emory Bellard. We're talking Bear Bryant. And if you gave all the ties, he still would be ahead. He's going for number 200 Saturday in Tuscaloosa.
That is unbelievable. I've got another big number for you. This one comes from this game that we just got done talking about, Broncos and Chiefs, in the last segment. 11 is my big number. Patrick Mahomes is 11-0 as a starting quarterback against the Broncos. The last quarterback to start his NFL career with 12 straight wins as a starter against a single opponent was... Brett, do you care to take a guess?
All right, give it to me again.
The last quarterback to start his NFL career with 12 straight wins as a starter against a single opponent.
Got to be Tom Brady.
Otto Graham against the Cardinals from 1950 to 1955. That's right. So Patrick Mahomes, if he gets a win, which Vegas will tell you he should get a win tonight against the Broncos, he will join Otto Graham as the only or as the last quarterback to start win 12 straight games as a starter against an opponent. That's incredible.
This weekend when the 49ers go to Cleveland, they once met San Francisco 49ers versus Cleveland Browns in the AAFC playoffs.
Really?
Starting quarterbacks, I know for Cleveland was Otto Graham, and I think for San Francisco, Frankie Albert. He's about 5'7".
Albert, wow.
The diminutive Frankie Albert. He was tough.
How about that? Oh man, yeah, that's one of my favorite things about these doing big numbers every day. I mean, first off, you span the globe with big numbers. I mean, I remember when you brought this to the table, and you're like, I want to start doing this. We jumped at it, and you told us we will never all come in here with the same big number. I mean, with the amount of big numbers, and I've been surprised that of how much we stretched it, but my favorite thing about it has been the names of players that we say and hear. And the team names. I mean, the Boston Bean Eaters, and I mean, there's some...
The Canton Bulldogs.
I mean, there's some good ones, so I love that. Otto Graham. Did not think I would be talking Otto Graham today.
And I catch myself when I hear a nugget in a game, like yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, I stole the 91 straight series without being swept. I heard Brian Anderson say it during the telecast, made a note in my phone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I do it all the time. There's one I haven't used. Okay, so kind of a quick story here. So I have glasses, and I just got glasses recently, and I cannot see, when I'm laying on my bed, I cannot see my TV because it's a smaller television. I can't see my TV from my bed with my glasses on. So last week during the USC-Arizona game, late at night, I'm in bed. I pulled out my phone and used my phone's camera to zoom into the television so I could watch the game because my glasses were downstairs. And so I took a picture of a big number that they a number that they flashed on the screen that I was going to use as my big number from that game the other night. I found it. Here it is.
That's great.
Noah Fafita, how did you pronounce the name? I can't even remember.
The quarterback for Arizona.
The quarterback for Arizona. He's the fourth Pac-12 quarterback with 300 passing yards and 5 touchdowns versus AP top 10 opponent. He joined Sam Darnold, Matt Barkley, and Matt Leinart as the only other 3 quarterbacks to do that.
Dear listener, dear public, that's how hard we work for y'all.
That's exactly. I'm zooming in with my phone so that I can watch a game and get a random big number that I haven't used this week. I guess I just used it. Absolutely. But I'll do it for our second hour. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk Tigers with Greg Gaston.
Hi, this is Jonah Gamble, left guard for University of Memphis football. Let us help you use your home's value for all those projects or vacations you've been putting off. Now you can borrow up to 100% loan to value. No closing costs for loans $50,000 or less. Online banking accessible. Interest-only payments for the first 10 years. You can apply at southernsecurity.org or by calling our member service team at 901-452-7900. Southern Security is an equal housing lender. Southern Security is a proud sponsor of the University of Memphis.
Spencer here with ATC Fitness. There's no better time of the year than now. Football and fitness go hand in hand in the fall. And with individual screens on each piece of cardio and multiple big screens throughout the rest of the club, you'll never miss a bit of the action watching your favorite team. ATC Fitness continues to be the Mid-South's choice for fitness, family-owned for 30 years, and proud supporters of Coach Silverfield and the Memphis Tigers. Join online at atcfitness.com. ATC Fitness, exercise your right to look good.
This new Wendy's Frosty flavor is way too exciting to keep under wraps. It's a brand new, first-of-its-kind flavor. Get this, pumpkin spice. I know, right? It's so good. It's rich, it's cozy. It's the perfect flavor for some fall Frosty time. Watch, everyone will see it and jump on the bandwagon. Grab a never-before-seen Pumpkin Spice Frosty or Pumpkin Spice Frosty Cream Cold Brew today when you choose wisely. Choose Wendy's.
Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's. Vanilla Frosty is temporarily unavailable.
East Memphis Ace Hardware is more than just a hardware store. It's really a customer service store with 20 employees along with complete inventory of items, big to little. Finding what you need is easy. Choosing from a complete selection of Big Green Egg as well as Traeger and Weber grills. And the Garden Center has everything for your yard. You can get glass cut, repair screens, even new keys with key fob programming. Tools, nuts, bolts, screws. You need it? East Memphis Ace Hardware has it. And they're just down the street at the corner of Quince and White Station. If you love sports and Mexican food, you can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the big TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos and enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with lunch specials from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $3.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You could just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's really starting to get a little bit heavy over here now on 240 east and westbound. Up by Poplar, working your way up to Walnut Grove. Heavy traffic flow now south of Memphis on 55 southbound down through South Haven as that traffic makes its way down into DeSoto County. Not bad over here right now on I-40. That's what we're looking at live at Hollywood all the way over to White Station. Hey, don't miss it this year. I'm talking about Smoky Mountain Fall Festival going on now at Ober-Gatlinburg. Check it out at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
From the Tigers sideline, it's Tigers Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 Mornings, along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg Gaston joining us from the Tigers sidelines. You can also hear him every morning on the station with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli. Greg, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing pretty good, guys. Firing up. Biggie tomorrow, right?
As big as it gets, and almost the perfect summertime dream scenario. All the pontificating and W's and L's and what happens with this. This is almost the dream scenario. Played really well against Mizzou, just didn't win them. That's sports. Tulane played really well against Ole Miss, just didn't beat them. That happens, and that was without Michael Pratt. Now setting up for, I think, an epic tomorrow night.
It's probably where most people, maybe not all, but most people had the two teams sitting at 4-1 going into this game. We penciled it. We circled it. We knew that this would be, if the teams did what they were supposed to do, we knew that this would be a huge matchup with a lot of implications. So no surprise that that is the situation here. The weather looks to be tremendous. Beautiful fall weather for football. We know what's on the line. Hopefully, even though it's a Friday night and there are some high school football games, there will be the biggest crowd of the season. It's a nationally televised game. You can't ask for more.
Here we go. Here we go. In 24 hours, you're going to be very busy out at the stadium, aren't you?
Yeah, I may need a walker though on the sidelines coming off my operation, but hopefully I'll be okay. So Yeah, I'm fired up for it. I know everybody else is in the city.
Well, Greg, you be careful. As I texted you last weekend, let's don't make big out of small.
Oh, I understand completely. I'll be very careful, but again, I wouldn't miss this for the world. That's why I scheduled my operation for last week during the bye week. I'm a team player, and hopefully
I wouldn't be chest bumping anybody tomorrow night.
there will be no chest bumping, that's for sure.
Greg, how important was that, or I guess how perfect of a time, I guess you could say, did this bye week come for the Tigers after that emotional comeback win? You get in a 17-point hole, and then you have a blocked kick, you return it, that changes the momentum, you have to fight your way back and beat Boise State, and then in preparation for this Tulane game, could that bye week have come at a better spot, and how, how great of a time did it come at, I guess?
We hope you're the only one on the team with stitches.
I hope that's a great point, Brett.
Well, a bye week is always welcome for the walking wounded. You guys know that. So I think it was a perfect time for the bye week. Most people have it scheduled right around the middle of the season, but you're going into the big game against Tulane. Obviously, Tulane's doing the same, and they have the bye week as well, which gives Michael Pratt some more time, even though he has returned, gives him more time to heal that knee. So I would think that most teams in situations coming off bye weeks are a lot healthier than when they went into the bye week. So to answer your question, Brian, I would say, yeah, it came at a very good time.
When you look at this game, I know we've been talking about Tulane, and their run defense has been really, really good. If you throw out that last game against UAB 2 weeks ago, as they're also coming off a bye week, but you look at what they've done against Ole Miss. I know Brett was there for that game and really held the Rebels in check on the ground. Against SMU, they did the same. Against South Alabama, they did the exact same, really limiting opponents on the ground. How important will it be for the Tigers tomorrow night to try to establish that ground game early?
Well, it's important, but it's not going to be easy. And if you're able to run the ball somewhat successfully, it opens things up for the passing game. So there's no question about it that you're going to try to establish it. But you just can't continue to hit your head into a wall, right? We know what the ramifications of that is. So there's going to be things that probably we haven't seen this year. There have been times this year that Memphis has gone to its bag of tricks, but for the most part, they've been pretty conservative, pretty consistent with their play calling. But this is one of those games where you may see things that you haven't seen, a lot more misdirection, trying to get to the edge and try to take advantage with your athleticism. Because if you're going up the middle and trying to run between the tackles, again, you might be running into a wall. But they found something. UAB found something, at least in the first half of that game against Tulane, and I can guarantee you that the Tigers coaching staff have scoured that up and down to look at what they possibly can do. But I would imagine this is one of those kitchen sink games, right? Everything
do what you got to
would want to see, right? You may be pulling out all those bag of tricks there from that big old bag.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a line of scrimmage game, and I like the improved Tiger offensive and defensive line, and I know Tulane's got good offensive and defensive lines.
Yeah, it's a little scary, and you're right, because a lot of times games are decided in the trenches. So we're not splitting the atom here. We're not breaking news, but that does concern me a bit because, again, as Brian said, that Tulane defensive line is awesome. You know it firsthand, Brett. You saw it when Ole Miss played, and Judkins, who's a great running back, one of the best in the country, he had trouble. So that's going to be real tough to win that battle. Hopefully the offensive line for Memphis, which has been pretty solid this year, will be able to hold its own. Flip it around, and you have the Memphis defensive line trying to get to Michael Pratt. That's going to be important as well. I thought they have done a pretty good job so far this year to get some pressure on opposing quarterbacks. But with Pratt, how healthy is he to run the football? It looks like he'll be fine throwing the football. But again, that knee injury, and that could linger a little bit. He may be close to 100%, which is good news for Tulane. But let's say he's not. Will they want him? Will they have a lot of design quarterback draws and things of that nature, which usually they have for Michael Pratt, who runs the ball extremely well? Maybe not. So that's one of those deals where you want to get to him, but you have to contain him, because if he gets out of containment, he can run for daylight.
Michael Pratt with 76 all-time career touchdown passes. That's the most ever in Tulane. He passed Patrick Ramsey, who had 72, Sean King with 70 and miss those games. You talk and back to the Ole Miss game. The only person on Ole Miss that could really run on them was Jackson Dart in kind of scrambles and run pass option stuff. Is Seth Hennigan up for that kind of game?
Well, we saw, I think, shades of what Seth did last year and has done really minimal up to this point, but we saw a lot more of it in the win over Boise State. It was a really good all-around game for Seth. And there were a lot of design runs for him, but also having to move when he was under duress. And I thought there was no hesitation at all. There was no hesitation in his throwing. There was no hesitation in his running. So they're going to need, obviously, a huge game from Seth Hennigan. But you're putting a lot in his hands against a really strong physical defense if he's running too much. So it's one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know that he has been playing extremely well. That's what you want to continue to happen. But God forbid you don't want to get your guy out there and get banged up with a million totes. So, hopefully, as Brian said, they establish something early with the running game. Although, again, that's going to be extremely difficult against this defense.
Greg, we talked to Dave Woloshin earlier this week, and he pointed out kind of the secondary for the Tigers and some of those big play balls they gave up against Boise State, especially early in the game. We know what Michael Pratt can bring with his arm. We know how he likes to push the ball downfield, and they've got some speed at receivers this year on this team. How big of a point are you going to make to be paying attention to this secondary on Friday night, and how big of a matchup could that be in tomorrow night's game?
It's a big assignment. Tulane's got solid wide receivers. I don't know if they have anybody as fast as what we saw with those Missouri receivers, but they have good, solid receivers. The thing is, while Brady Cook is a very good quarterback for Mizzou, Michael Pratt is being looked at as a guy that will more than likely get drafted later rounds, but he's a guy that I think could easily stick with the National Football League team. And the reason why is this guy anticipates. He anticipates where his receivers will be. So when we were talking to Matt Barnes, the Tigers defensive coordinator, the other day, he said he hasn't seen anybody like it on the schedule this year where a receiver turns around when he makes his cut and the ball is there. And so they are used to now being ready for that. It took a little while to find that relationship, but Michael Pratt now, he puts the ball before the turn is made, and when they look up, that ball is on him. His anticipation is phenomenal. He can thread it into little spots where other quarterbacks can't because he has phenomenal instincts and a great arm. But those receivers are used to that. So that puts your defensive secondary in a bind time at times because there's not much time to react. The reactionary time is very minimal because the ball is there when you both are turning. And, of course, for a defensive back to be successful, they better turn and look back at the ball. But that ball is already there to the receivers. That's the scary part about Michael Pratt.
Yeah, and I like their tight end, Alex Bowman, kind of as a safety valve guy. And you're right about Pratt. The ball is right there on time every time.
Yeah, the tight end is something that has been a problem defending for a lot of teams. Not
it is cross football.
Isn't it? It just seems like those tight ends go up the seam and they are absolutely wide open. And it's something that Memphis has not been able to take advantage of this year. We've talked so much about losing Caden Prescorn to Ole Miss. That was a big-time guy who I think will have a great chance to play in the NFL. Anthony Landseer has done an okay job, an admirable job, but he is not this big breakaway tight end that we have seen over the years for Memphis, especially in the last 10 years. And I think he has good hands where if they have to go to him, he's available, but he is not going to be the guy running by himself down the seam for 40, 50, 60 yards and a touchdown. And so they're missing that guy, whereas Tulane has them. Other guys, other teams they have played on the schedule have those tight ends. They're a safety, not just a safety valve. They're a security blanket for quarterbacks because they always
keep those drives going.
Yes, they do.
You need 7, they get 9. You need 11, they get 13. They really are. They're the bailout guy. And then if you have a guy that's a good, consistent inline blocker and committed to it, it helps in the run game. Talking Tigers football with Greg Gaston. From the Tigers sideline, it's brought to you every week by the law offices of Stephen Leffler, Neil's Bar and Grill, Mount Moriah Auto Sales, and Chet Whitsett, your Cry-Like realtor. Greg, tomorrow night, if the Tigers had to get in a low 20s game or a make-it-take-it game, which one's better for the Memphis Tigers?
I don't like a low-scoring game. I really don't.
You want a rat race?
Yeah. I mean, close either way, right? If it's close, low-scoring, or if it's close, high-scoring, that's fine. But I think they have a better chance to come out victorious in a rat race. I think if they're struggling to score the football, then it really puts the onus on not turning the ball over. And if you have one turnover, maybe two turnovers, you're in. It could be a doomsday scenario. Now, it could work for Tulane. Obviously, Memphis has done a good job. They've been ball hawks. They've been good in recovering fumbles, forcing fumbles. So again, don't get me wrong. I mean, this is certainly a game that is winnable for Memphis, and they can cause Tulane to make those mistakes. But again, I just thinking out loud, I like the Tigers more in a shootout, because then you feel good that you're all right. If it's a shootout, you're scoring on them, so you feel good that you can get up and down the field. If it's just a defensive battle, I don't know. I still think Tulane can win the line of scrimmage. They can win with their physicality. They can win with their big-time quarterback.
Greg, the Tigers have been without their top two kickers the past two games, and I think you can look at both of those games and see moments in those games where maybe the Tigers could have settled with a field goal and opted to go for it, even though Tanner Gillis, I thought, has done a really good job in those opportunities. What have you heard this week about the availability of either of those kickers?
Morgan's not going to play. Vandenberg may be able to play. But right now, I would think after the last two games using Gillis, that Coach Silverfield will go with Gillis again.
Yeah.
They're confident with his short kicks. But for the long kicks, it does bring up that scenario depending on the situation in the game on whether or not to take a shot, because he doesn't have this huge leg, although he's done a nice job with kickoffs. But when you think about it, the other kickers are new. Gillis was actually around the team last year. At least he was here. Those guys are new, and I don't know if through the first few games you really know exactly how far they could kick it. And it was Morgan to start the year. Vandenberg was the guy who was doing the kickoffs. I think Gillis has done an admirable job, but I would look for Gillis possibly if it was a long field goal try that they had to have, and Vandenberg was healthy because of his bigger leg, he may attempt that.
Ryan Silverfield with you guys yesterday morning, and he's 25-17 as head coach of the Memphis Tigers. This clearly would be his biggest win, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of debate going on. What is his biggest game so far? I think with all the implications, with everything that's on the line, the position you are, and the timing of this as well, because you're in the middle of the season. The last thing you want to do is go into this game at home, national TV, get beat up, get beat bad, look bad in doing so, and then you kind of lose a lot of the fans. At least, the diehards will be there, but you know what I'm saying. The French fans will be like, it's basketball season. So it's a really important game for Coach Silverfield. He knows it. And even if the Tigers play tooth and nail and lose the game, they're still not out of it. So I hope people take that into consideration when they look at the future. But if you want more people figuring out what's going on over there at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium for the remainder of the season and the home games, and you want them to come aboard the choo-choo train, well, a win tomorrow night could go a very long way in doing so, because we know what's at stake. All the fans want to see is this team competing for a conference championship game. Bowl games are fantastic, don't get me wrong, but I think people have become accustomed. When you go 9 straight years, you know that's bare minimum. So this is an extremely important game for Ryan, for that staff, and for those players, and they know it. They don't need to be reminded of it.
And, Greg, it feels like the first of 2 meetings with Tulane, and this may decide where the second meeting will be. This was for a 2-game lead for home field advantage for AAC championship game.
Right. They could meet in the end again. That's certainly a possibility. It's a big one tonight with SMU playing East Carolina, as they're kind of hovering around. They're a very capable team that comes to Memphis, so the Tigers get them at home. And there's a couple of other teams that could make some noise, and even if they don't make the conference championship, could be factors in deciding. I like the way UAB has been playing. There's always that possibility that UTSA, with a healthy Frank Harris, can beat anybody in the conference. But, yeah, I mean, this is the importance of this game. It's not the end-all, be-all. Again, it doesn't mean you're going to the conference championship if you win or not going if you lose. But I think people understand the ramifications of this game.
Greg, I want to switch gears a little bit before we let you go and talk some basketball with you as it's quickly approaching. And what did you make, I guess, 2 days ago now of the Mikey Williams news that his case will now be moved to an actual trial? That chance of him even being here this year is completely gone out the window, I'm guessing now. But what did you make of that news?
Well, first I thought, about time. Finally, they got the preliminary hearing for all those parties involved. I don't have a dog in the fight, but it's like you want to move on with the justice system. You knew this case wasn't going to get dropped. It's just too serious of a case. So he's going to have to face trial, and there's going to be probably a lot of curveballs and a lot going on. But as far as him playing at the University of Memphis this season, that's not happening. No. Is there a chance in the future for next year? Maybe. But, again, depending on how that trial goes and the outcome, there's a lot in that man's life that he's got to worry about more right now than playing basketball.
Absolutely.
So not surprised whatsoever. I guess I'm a little surprised they finally had the preliminary hearing.
It has moved slowly. I guess they're all getting paid by the hour. Well, I know they are. They're attorneys. And I don't want to run attorneys down. You got an attorney in your household that you paid for a great law degree. But
that's right.
But Greg, it has moved really slow, and it feels like I'm not. And I didn't watch L.A. Law when it was a popular TV show either, but I have read Scott Turow and John Grisham. It feels like that prosecutor he would not take any deal.
Exactly. And again, what deal are you going to take here? I mean, the guy fired 5 shots into a car where people were in.
You're going to trial.
It wasn't an empty car here. It would be nothing short of a miracle if all of a sudden 5 different people said, yeah, we're going to drop the charges. And they know the kid's got money. Hey, man, that kid's got money right now before he's even stepped on the court as a professional, let alone a collegiate player. So, yeah, nothing is surprising about that case. Nothing will surprise me. I think in his heart of hearts, Penny Hardaway understood the situation, but I give him a lot of credit because he is loyal. Loyal to a fault in some regards, but not in this situation. I thought what he did was the proper thing to do, kept the kid on board as far as a member with that scholarship. It's not going to happen. So
I have no criticism of Coach Hardaway in this. None.
No. And if there's any, it's not warranted. The other thing is the more important Williams is DeAndre, and that thing is lingering. And I'm starting to, well, not starting. I really feel that that's not going to happen either. But with that said, with that roster that they have assembled, even without the Williams boys, this is a really strong team, and I'm looking forward to the basketball season.
Yeah, definitely. Well, going to some more positive news, I guess, on the basketball front. We did have AAC Media Days earlier this week, a couple Tigers on the first and second team, but what really caught my eye was J.J. Taylor and Carl Sharenfont as the co-rookies of the year, preseason co-rookies of the year. I know y'all had Carl Sharenfont on your show a couple weeks ago. What do you make of this? I know the talk here locally, it seems like, is how are you going to find enough playing time for these young guys? What do you think about both of these two guys and the fact that they were voted co-rookies of the year?
Well, a couple things come to mind. And Sharon Font, by the way, was fantastic on our show. Well-spoken young man, very confident in himself. I love the kid. I haven't had a chance to talk to J.J. Taylor, but he's very talented as well. A couple of things come to mind right off the bat. Number one, what other freshmen are there in the conference where you got 2 on the same team that may not get playing time are picked to be players?
It's crazy.
Got to duke it out against each other.
Number 2, you might as well have thrown Ashton Hardaway's name out there. That's a guy who actually could get more playing time than those other 2 and could be more of a factor if his three-point shooting lives up to advanced ability. So that also jumped out at me. The other thing is that, it's kind of cool to have those names on there, but only 1 first-teamer, only 1 second-teamer, maybe a little bit surprising. And as far as the predictions by the coaches for the conference, it's exactly what I thought and probably you guys thought as well. You got to give Florida Atlantic their due. They have most of their guys back. They went to the Final Four, for goodness sakes. And then Memphis sitting there at number 2. And then after that, it's forget about it. Because this conference, basketball-wise, is bad. Other than what you have at the top, it is not a good conference. This is one of those deals where the Tigers play such a formidable non-conference schedule that you hope, number one, they're not beaten down by that when they play a conference game against one of these inferior teams where they're not up for it. Or number 2, they're just bored out of their mind going to one of those games and lose a bad game. Because Memphis and Florida Atlantic should ride roughshod over that whole conference.
You know, we're about 3 weeks away from having to go through all that schedule with those W's and L's, and I'm having I did a light walkthrough earlier this week on the schedule when the rest of the TV times came out, and I just can't go any lower than 14-4 in conference.
Oh gosh, no. I mean, I haven't done that. You're always ahead of the grade, Brett. So doing it before all of us, I'll look at it, but I don't see 4 losses in that conference. I really do not. As talented as this team is, as deep as this team is, now as long as there's no problems as far as within, as far as the chemistry and things of that nature, because there are so many talented players that certainly they're all going to want theirs, but hopefully in a team-oriented way, not in an individual selfish way. But I don't see 4 off the bat.
I'm going to have to cherry pick and really go loss hunting for 3.
No, I agree. This is a really talented team that I think can only be derailed by themselves.
Yeah, I think so. Well, Greg, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy tomorrow night. Take care. Be careful out there, and we'll do it again next Thursday.
Thanks a lot, guys. I think it's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow night over at Simmons Bank.
We don't want to see you at the bottom of any dog piles tomorrow night.
No. I'm staying away from everything.
Thanks, Greg. Greg Aston with us every Thursday talking Tigers football and Tigers basketball, and it is building about 24 and a half hours before kickoff out at the stadium at the fairgrounds. Hope it's a big, fun scene tomorrow for tailgating and for the game tomorrow night. Hewlett and Dunn, Boot and Jean on the historic square in Collierville. They've been there since 1961, and they're the title sponsor of this hour every day, and we so appreciate it. Charles Hall, he started working there in his teens, and now with his wife, Laura, what a team they are. They own the place, known for all the boots, but so much more. Accessories, clothing, cap for any team, for any season, all the luggage, all the different things coming up for the holiday season that you'll just love. You've got to go by and visit. You got to go by and say hello. Western wear, work boots, safety toe or soft toe, rubber boots, boots for every occasion at Hewlett and Dunn in Collierville. There will be a lot of those boots out on display tomorrow and tomorrow night at the Tigers game and along Tiger Lane. From head to toe, they have you covered with every brand imaginable. Dan Post, Anderson Bean, Ariat. Whether for men or women, they have you covered. Men's and women's clothing, pants, jeans, shirts, shorts, outerwear, and the best duckhead collection you'll find anywhere. Charles and Laura Hall, they invite you to 111 North Center Street, or you can go to hewlettdunn.com, but they'd rather you come by and visit them on the square in Collierville. Hats, boot care products, sunglasses, and every area team snapback cool hats you can think of. They sure will be prominently on display tomorrow night. All those Tigers hats, Mississippi State, Tennessee, the Razorbacks, Ole Miss as well. And for travel, the bag selection, it is top shelf. HewlettandDunn.com. Go by and visit them on the square in Collierville. Say hello at 111 North Center Street on that historic square in Collierville at Hewlett and Dunn, Boot and Jean.
Well, let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination, has 27 delicious flavors to choose from and counting. Like the Buffalo Ranch, a perfect combo of ranch seasoning with a little kick. Mango Habanero, sweet taste of mango followed by the heat. Or Sweet Maple Bourbon, the taste will remind you of chicken and waffles. And that's just 3 of the amazing 27 chicken wing seasonings that you can get at the Crazy Coop in Bartlett at 7199 Stage Road. And now open the Crazy Coop Express at 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Some like it hot. How about the Crazy Sweet Lemon Pepper Hot or Crazy Suicide? Can't take the heat? Get the 4-cheese roasted garlic or barbecue bacon bourbon. Ask about the $9.99 lunch special. Now those are some crazy good prices. The Crazy Coop, 2 locations, 7199 Highway 64 between Applin and Kirby Whitten and 1315 Ridgeway off Poplar. Family owned and operated, The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination.
Roofs, roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
Sports and blinds, they just go together. And right now, all Sports 56 listeners get $50 off any order at Blinds Etc. South. Real wood, 3.5 to 4.5 inch plantation shutters made in the Mid-South are always affordable at Blinds Etc. South. And now get $50 off your order. Get your free in-home consultation at 901-681-0225 or go to blindsetcetera.southllc.com. Upgrade your home with custom-made plantation shutters and window treatments from Blinds Etc. South.
Hey sports fans, this is the Ultimate Vegas Insider, John Anthony, and I'm on fire. To prove it, I'm releasing your Thursday Night Report absolutely free on recorded message line. Call 1-800-244-5506. I love tonight's matchup. Denver, Kansas City is a monster. Side and total. Denver, Kansas City, critical information confirmed, plus college football. That's 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. I love to go 5-0 free on a recorded message. 1-800-244-5506. Information wins. John Anthony Sports, #1 against the spread. Denver, Kansas City is huge. Call 1-800-244-5506. You want information? I've got it. I love to go 5-0 or the season free. Call the recorded message line, 1-800-244-5506. 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. That's 1-800-244-5506 or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo Saturday, October 21st, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We'll be taking applications and interviewing candidates on site. Salary starting at $54,611, increasing to $60,713 after probation. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawild Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Times. We got about 30 minutes left in today's show. As Brett, can you feel the energy building for tomorrow night?
I can.
It's almost game day.
I thought we would all week, and you'll really feel it tomorrow. I would prefer it on the day for college
Absolutely.
football on Saturday, but it's not. And we knew it from when the schedule came out. Now, on the day for college football on Saturday, I'm seeing from the College Game Day Twitter site, guest picker in Seattle. And this is one where, all joking aside about his age and condition, for Coach Lee Corso, for them to go live at 8 o'clock Central Time Saturday morning.
Oh, jeez.
You know what time that is in Seattle? At 6.
It's at 6, yeah.
He's at makeup. He's at wake-up
at
call.
like
If he's
3
going
a.m.,
to do the show at 3 or 4 in the morning. And that's what I've said as much as harsh as I've been about it. And I have not been. The most harsh I've been about it is for him if something happened and the liability, the exposure, the criticism that would come of y'all did this to him, for ratings.
Yeah.
Y'all did it. Now I know he wants to be there, and he would tell them if he couldn't. But that's more than bright and early. That could be rough for him.
It really could be. I mean, that's an early morning. I remember, obviously, I've only been to College Game Day once when it was here in Memphis, and it was an early morning then, and that is not.
You got to Beale Street at what time?
I got to Beale Street at 2 o'clock in the morning.
You did?
3 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, something like that. It was an early morning. I think 3.
And
there
they
were people
started
already
rolling
there.
at 8.
And they started rolling at 8, and you started seeing people from ESPN at about 5 or 6.
I mean, he hits the stage about an hour out.
Yeah. Well,
so he's hitting a stage in Seattle, Washington at 7 Central. That's 5 their time.
5 their time.
It's easy. It's an easy 2:30, 3 o'clock wake-up call.
Easy.
Easy. That's hard to do.
That's hard to do for anybody.
But guest picker's going to be, remember last year when I had the ugly generational divide and had no clue of Jack Harlow? Was that it?
Jack Harlow was at the game for Louisville against Notre Dame this past weekend, stormed the field with all the students. It was a great scene. Oh, yeah.
My man Jack. Still don't know who he is. He doesn't know who I am.
No, that's a good point.
Joel McHale.
Oh yeah,
guest picker.
Absolutely.
Tell me who he is.
He is an actor, mainly comedian actor, I guess you could say. I don't know if he does like stand up.
You think less of me for now?
I don't, because when I saw him, when you started talking about it, I went to see who it was, and because I was thinking Seattle, who could they possibly do from Seattle? And so I went and looked, and when I saw his name, I go, I think I know who that is. And I had to look him up to make sure I knew who he was. I do, but yeah, I mean, he is in a lot of things, but nothing that I would put against you not knowing at all. So
I truly have never heard of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty funny. He's pretty good.
That's the key to being a comedian.
Absolutely. The things I know him in, very few, but he's in The Bear, which is a series on FX that's very popular. He was in Community, which was a very popular sitcom.
So far, I'm 3 for 3. Never heard of Joel McHale. Never heard of Bear. Never heard of Community.
There's a new show on Fox called Animal Control where he's the main
4 for 4.
Main character in that I've seen one episode of and thought it was all right. He's in Spider-Man, I think. I don't know. I'm just looking through his
5 for 5.
He's in Spy Kids, which was one of my favorite movies growing up, but I don't know who or what he does in Spy Kids.
This isn't on Jack. This is on me.
I mean, there's not much on here that I really know. I'm sure. I don't know.
But he is funny.
I think he's pretty funny.
Very critical to being a comedian. Being funny.
I mean, that's huge. He
kind of opening bid, isn't it?
He went to Washington.
He went to UW.
He went to UW. He's from Italy. He was born in Rome. And let's see. I wonder how long he lived in Rome. It looks like he moved to Washington when he was young. He went to high school in Washington. So interesting. But he was born in Rome. So the more you know, I guess, about Joel McHale. I'm sure he'll do great. I have no doubt about it. He's going to do great in his picks.
You think he's a big college football fan?
Who knows? I couldn't tell you one way or the other. Maybe
think he storms the field like Jack Harlow in the future?
Probably not. But it was electric. I'll tell you that, Brett. I saw him. He's getting students all pumped up, and then they all rushed the field.
All right, we can really go generational now with the news today of Dallas Cowboys legend Walt Garrison at 79 passing away. Do you have any idea what his big ad was in the 70s?
Brett, I'd prefer to plead the fifth on this one.
If I gave you options, option A, beer.
Okay.
B, tobacco.
Okay.
C, cars.
Okay.
D, home warranties.
Okay, and what year was this?
In the 70s.
I'm going to go tobacco. B.
But put a little between your cheek and gum. That was it.
Really?
That was his tagline.
Oh,
for
man.
Smokeless tobacco.
Wow, what a time.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd see many ads about that today.
Played at Oklahoma State. No.
Not at all.
Played at Oklahoma State, was a good 1-2 punch with Dwayne Thomas and Calvin Hill a little bit before that. Don Perkins a little bit before that for the Cowboys. Had really good hands out of the backfield. And in the Super Bowl V, kind of the 30-minute that they put together, John Facenda voiced,
Right.
He said early in that game against the Colts, it was kind of the blunderfest. He said Walt Garrison and Dwayne Thomas were running through the Colts like Texas twisters. It was great.
Oh my goodness, that tickled me a little too hard.
Yeah.
That's funny. No, I did see that news today. Very sad news this morning. But also, speaking of the Cowboys, I did also see more sad news. Leighton Vander Esch is on the IR.
Is that for the year?
I don't know. I haven't had time today to really look at it.
I talked about it earlier in the week. I'm afraid this one, or for sure one more, he just can't take anymore. And I don't know how they do it with the legal exposure.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough, but for him, I mean, and you brought up Tua the other day when we were talking about it, and obviously with him being the quarterback.
So far, so good.
So far, so good this year, and obviously kind of.
It's always so far so good until it's not so good.
Exactly. But being a quarterback under a microscope, everyone sees him every play and are really focusing on him. You can get a little lost when you're a linebacker out there. But, injuries just piling up for him.
I don't know how you take the head and neck out of playing linebacker.
That's a good point. It's hard to do.
I know they're trying to teach it differently and much safer. And if we're going to keep football, we got to do it, and we can't blow up over targeting. They're going to call it.
Absolutely.
They're doing it as much for the player as to penalize. They're trying to help you. But one thing they're never going to call, they never call the crown of the helmet on that running back bucking up in there.
It's true.
And, bowing through there, splattering everybody.
Lower that helmet.
They never call that.
Get a couple more yards. No, they don't.
Yeah, out in a screen, they're not calling that.
No, and I've heard, you're starting to hear a lot of commentators, especially ones that, these color commentators that used to be defensive players back in, when they were playing in their playing days, they're starting to talk about. Yeah, they're starting to talk about, and this seems very one-sided that the defensive player is always getting called for this. But if a running back, if a wide receiver wants to lower their head and try to get a couple more yards, and nothing
good,
to
tough
it.
Football.
Exactly,
Yeah.
It's tough football then. So it's
Greg Olson thinks it's good, tough football. Rodney Harrison's going, and rightly so. What about us?
Yeah. Why are y'all getting to lower your heads in the second? I mean, some of these. Yeah, and I get it.
Henry coming through there full speed.
Well, and I get it too. I mean, we're trying to protect the players, and I think that is extremely important. That's the number one priority.
We should sincerely for injury.
Yes.
I'm afraid around the NFL, it is first and foremost for the next big class action.
Yes, that is very true. But it seems like we're starting to get some of these calls are, especially for defensive players, are a little questionable on if they're really targeting or not. And I get it. It's a tricky thing to do and a tricky thing to be able to find.
Around football, I will really believe it's all about player safety when we reduce a game.
Yeah.
From junior high to the NFL, when junior high, instead of 6, we play 5. Ninth grade, instead of 9, we play 8. High school, we cut out a layer of these playoffs, and we play 9 regular season. College, back to 11. In NFL, 17. We tried it. We're going back to 16.
Yeah,
none of that's happening.
No, we're going the opposite direction, Brett. The more the merrier.
And in the CBA, the league can add the 18th without any player approval.
Which is interesting.
They could add 25 games,
Brett,
but they're not going to.
Some would say they might have known what they were doing when they put that together.
Yeah, they usually do. and sadly, for so many people, all of us, there's just not anything else on earth I can do making that kind of money. And you kind of got me where you want me.
You sure do.
And I want to do this. I want to live. I want to take my swing at this life. And you're going to stay a billionaire, and I want to try to get mine.
Yep. Nope, you're right about that. So, it is interesting, though, to kind of see, especially, like I said, with a lot more of these defensive players that are now in the booth kind of bringing that issue up of, hey, it seems to be pretty one-sided here. But let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. And when we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry, and they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Bartlett Small Engine has free pickup and delivery both at your home and curbside for lawnmowers, blowers, edgers, and any small engine. Call 901-386-9779.
Pizza lovers and sports fanatics, Ferraro's Pizzeria is your Sunday ticket headquarters. Catch every pro game on multiple big screen TVs while enjoying $2 beers, $9 beer buckets, and mouth-watering pizza. We're talking the cheesiest, most delicious New York pizzas in town with all your favorite toppings. What are you waiting for? Grab your family and friends and get to Ferraro's, corner of Jackson and Main, just east of the Pyramid. Enjoy every pro game at Ferraro's Pizzeria and Cheesy Corner, your game day destination.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day, but it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Wooden Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk, don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One. Thursday Night Football is coming up with AFC West action. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs sit atop the division at 4-1. Now they host Sean Payton's Denver Broncos, who are off to a tough 1-4 season start. Ian Eagle and Devin McCourty will have the call on air on the free live stream sponsored by AutoZone on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
O'Reilly. Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines to dissipate heat and friction and reduce wear. Get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select filter for just $33.99. Limit supply. See store for details. Get Syntec only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now, and the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Roofs, roofs, and more roofs. Chris Price here with Metro Builders. Is your roof leaking? Do you have mold stains on the ceiling of your home or business? Is your carrier denying your claim or offering a repair simply because they don't have enough documentation? You need a contractor that performs work for insurance claims for policyholders each and every day, and Metro Builders is here to assist. Call Metro Builders. At Metro Builders, we provide free estimates, consultation, and claim repairs. Metro Builders' process of arriving, inspecting, diagnosing problems, and estimating is second to none, commercial and residential. Our team of Hague-certified technicians are standing by to assist you with providing estimates and photos to your carrier to document your loss. All you owe is what your policy states. No large fees on top of the final scope. We use high-grade materials and are certified by companies like Atlas, CertainTeed, Owens Corning, and Mulehide with labor warranties up to 50 years on all of our jobs. Metro Builders provides roof repairs across the Mid-South. Call Metro Builders to schedule your inspection free. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Jean Company in Collierville. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye. Hello, Haskins. It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito. So good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that Ja Morant's suspension that was appealed will not be shortened, the NBA put out yesterday. I don't think anybody really assumed it was going to be shortened, but
you had to take a flyer.
You had to take a shot at it, see what you could get. If you could maybe get a couple of games knocked off, if anything.
It's going to be 25.
It's going to be 25. We now know that as a fact. I was actually surprised. I completely forgot that they had appealed it back when it first was released, but it won't be any shorter. I think they have to. And so I have no problem with them doing it. I just did not really see any way that they would have shortened it. So 25 games for Ja. It's not going to be any shorter. It's not going to be any longer. 25 games. We know when he'll be back. It sounds like if you take what Taylor Jenkins has been saying with him practicing, with what they're going to do to kind of make sure he's ready for when he comes back, it doesn't sound like we're going to get to that 25th game and then need a couple of games for him to get ramped back up. It sounds like game 26, he's going to be ready to ride.
Right, I've said it, and I want it. The best Ja Morant is ahead.
Absolutely.
We're gonna get the best Ja. We've had a really good Ja Morant.
Yeah, really good.
We're gonna get the best. What I learned, the Dodgers 20-20-60 game COVID bubble title gets more marginalized by every season that they fail in the postseason. it diminishes what they did that year. Baseball handled that so poorly that year. Baseball did the bare minimum to have a season in COVID. At least Adam Silver and football, college and pro, at least they fought for their product. They fought for their season. Baseball didn't. Just slapped a stamp on it, mailed it in. The 60-gamer, it was a joke. The bubble playoffs was a joke. And that's all the Dodgers have to show for since 1988.
Yeah, you're right about that. What I could have done without is Rich Rodriguez, a guy that we love keeping up with. We've loved what he's done this year with Jacksonville State.
Nuts.
But the other night, after a loss to Liberty.
Oh, was it Tuesday?
It was Tuesday. Tuesday night after a loss to Liberty, in his post-game press conference, I don't know exactly what the question was, but it was something about the loss to Liberty. And his response was something like, well, what's their athletic budget? And somebody looked it up. One of the reporters looked it up and told him the answer. And he said, is that just for football or is that all athletics? And they responded, you couldn't hear the response. And he goes, okay. Well, I can tell you our athletic department budget isn't that big, and so I think our budget needs to get a little bigger, and then we'll start competing with these things. Hey, Rich Rod, you're doing a great job this year with this team. Nobody expected this team to be this good. Let's not blame athletic budgets and start comparing athletic budgets because of loss.
And a guy that once coached at Michigan.
Yes. Let's not do that. You've done a great job, Rich.
Could have done without this. Mets owner Steve Cohen says, just for the fan entertainment experience. That's the only reason he's doing it.
Oh.
He's building a casino by Citi Field. He says there's nothing to do there. We're just doing this for fan entertainment. That's it. Just to come to the casino.
I love it.
Can you imagine those fans after they're all oiled up and a heartbreaking loss, then spilling over the casino?
Hey, maybe a great idea. I don't know. If that team next year is anything like this team, that casino can make a lot of money. Maybe. Well, where are you beaming tonight?
Kansas City for Kansas City versus Denver. How healthy is Travis Kelce? We'll see. How healthy is Taylor Swift? We'll see. How healthy is Mama Kelce? We'll see. How bad are the Broncos? We'll see. Kansas City leads all time 71-55. They've only met one time in the postseason. That was in 1998. Quarterback battle that day, John Elway versus Elvis Gerbach.
Wow, man. I was hoping for an Elvis Presley. No, not Elvis Presley.
He didn't play quarterback for the Humes Tigers.
That's correct. But I'm going to beam over to Nashville, Tennessee. Game 2 for both the Predators and the Kraken tonight at Bridgestone Arena.
You would be there.
Well,
but you just need the beaming machine.
I just need the beaming machine, and I will be there. But got the puck drop at 7 o'clock. I'm sure everybody listening is going, oh, hockey again. Please make it stop.
Three days of it is what I'm thinking.
3 days of it, and months and months to go because it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Neil Brown saved his job. Now he's trying to get a new deal. 4-1 for West Virginia tonight at Houston. SMU at ECU, and the Phillies trying to inflict more pain again on the Bravos.
Also, don't forget about the Grizzlies tonight on the road against the Hawks for their third preseason game. That game's going to be on NBA TV tonight. I don't know if it's going to be on Bally's or not. I just see here on ESPN they have NBA TV there. So one way or the other, you'll be able to watch that game tonight. Maybe see who gets to play, who doesn't, if they run out more reserves out there tonight after kind of getting a good look at that starting group the last two games. But it should be a good night, like we said, to open the show. Really, whatever you like, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, you can get pretty much all of it right now, and tonight's going to be a good night for it. So enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.
Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando is growing. This family business started up 5 years ago with just one pallet, and now they have hundreds. Tim, the owner, gets calls from people everywhere and can sometimes